Hey y'all! And welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not-so-healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all!
Hey y'all!
Howdy.
Just had to be different.
It's Misty.
It's Honey.
And Aaron.
And we are in our second session of D&D.
Yay!
I gave my dice a lovely little roll and breath and words of encouragement, so they're nice to me this time.
She gave them the whole workaround of asking them to be nicer to her so that she doesn't have to roll them on the floor again. So, but yeah,
as that was.
as entertaining as it is to watch, I imagine it's a pain to continuously pick your dice up off the floor. So
we should just sit her on the floor, I guess.
I mean, I could. You can still see me from the camera angle.
Probably be really hard to catch you on mic, but you know.
It's true.
Just lean it to the edge of the table.
It's just like, just hold it down to her like every time she goes to talk, and it's just like.
We should just have our setup on the floor for D&D from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, like it might do at least Ani better. So.
Here's to hoping.
Yeah.
Or of course the dice probably know.
That
no.
We need to just need.
They
to
know your
dice.
tricks.
Need to get you a whole giant set of new dice. All right, I'm going to do a little recap of what happened last time, give everybody a little refresher, and then we'll dig in.
Yes.
So last time saw our wayward adventurers, our reluctant adventurers, in the Nameless city, and what started as a normal day turned into the worst day the city has had in generations. The Nameless city became under attack from the Ilithids, and together Jaz'Zara, Asha, and Valkaria were tasked with taking the key that led to the secret magical well of power within the city out of the city in order to protect it from the Ilithids so that they could not gain the ability to fully take over or destroy the people of the Nameless city. Our adventurers found themselves being chased by a group of Ilithids and their minions through tunnels, over water, over very rickety bridges, through cave-ins, facing demon spider creatures, weird floating manta rays, and eventually onto a lake that looks like an endless underground sea. There in which our heroes learned of some of their new abilities in the form of a beautiful magical shield of the Moonweaver, known as the Moon's Defense for Asha, gifted to her by her mother, and Valkaria found a shiny.
I got a shiny.
She found a shiny crystal, which, when she meditated with it, showed her visions of a plane unknown, with some rather haunting images that showed a figure that seemed to look at her back. And after a near sinking of their boat, and facing some kind of Loch Ness monster demon creature in the water, our adventurers finally made it to the exit of the Underdark, into a cavern which would lead them up to the surface. And for the very first time, our adventurers find themselves with a future in which a world has a sky. Which is going to be real trippy for y'all, because that's new. The sun is going to be new.
Sun's going to be real new.
You've seen it. You've definitely seen it before. However, it's going to be new. So this is the entrance. Well, it's the entrance/exit to the Underdark. At this point, everybody, you're in the boat. You've docked it up against the side, out of the giant ocean lake that you've been traversing for several days now. And you can climb out of the boat, and through the tunnel that leads just slightly upwards, you can see sunlight. And you know that beyond this exit is the world of the surface. and an adventure and possibly a terrifying but maybe wonderful future ahead of you.
Here's to hoping.
And as you crawl out of the boat and you stand there in the cave exit and you step out into the world of Exandria and the world of the surface, you are hit with the fucking freezing cold that is a gigantic tundra.
Insert wind noises here.
It is freezing. There is snow in every direction. You step into it and it comes well past your ankles. And every large tree in the area is covered in snow. There's cliffs, there's like snowy dunes everywhere. What lies before you is a giant section of just frozen, snowy tundra. If you turn around, however, and you look at the entrance of where you were, you will see that behind you is a gigantic series of mountains. They all kind of like almost even off in a straight direction. Like they're not really like scattered so much, but there's a gigantic mountain behind you, and you know that the Underdark in which you live is below these mountains and then inward. But in front of you is a giant tundra wasteland. And Jaz'Zara you've all been to parts of the surface before. Like, Jaz'Zara has taken you to the surface before, in little like trips in secret and stuff like that. Mostly it's at night. So and you've seen the moon. In fact, Asha is the only one of her family who's seen the fact that there are 2 moons in the sky. Whereas because in the Nameless city you can only see the one through the hole in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been exposed to parts of the surface before. You've never spent significant time in it.
Right.
And as you've stepped out into the surface world, what would you like to do?
First, I want to make sure I'm not going to die as soon as I step into this world.
Mm-hmm. Very tentative steps.
You can do
a little bit of wobbling.
If you'd like, you could do perception checks to investigate the area to see what you see without actually having to go anywhere. You can inspect the cave where you just were. What would you like to do?
Cry because I'm cold, and then I'll roll a perception check.
Okay, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
13.
13? Okay. You get, as you look at the landscape, there's clusterings of trees, there's no dense forest or anything like that. There are bunches of trees. You think that if you had to spend the night somewhere, you could probably your safest bet would to go into the middle of one of these clusters of trees to try and cut the wind down and stuff like that. As you look up at the mountain, you can see it's a lot of sheer cliff face around you. So you definitely would have a really difficult time if you wanted to climb up the mountain. You're also, as somebody who lives in the Underdark and beneath the mountain, nobody would really live above you. You've never heard anything of anybody living above you. If there was a city or something that lived above you, they would have found the entrances to the Underdark and you guys would have encountered other people. So you have a pretty solid idea that there isn't anybody or anything that's in the mountains themselves. And as you look out in the tundras and you don't see any structures, you don't see any signs of human presence, with the exception of just the general area around the entrance to the cave itself. You can tell just by the way some of the stone is worn and some of the way the rocks have been moved that there's been activity through this tunnel. But you can chalk most of that up to the fact that there's a regular patrol that comes out of here. Did Valkaria want to do any looking or anything?
I'll do a perception check, but I also just want to poke at it with my stick. Just be
what are you going to poke at?
The ground.
The ground?
Okay. Just want to poke the ground.
She's not super familiar with snow.
Yeah.
So go ahead and give me a survival check as you poke at the ground.
Survival. All right.
1. No.
My luck, yeah. 13.
13. Okay. We're rolling 13s today.
Sounds lucky.
You take your quarterstaff and like you stick it in the ground. It probably goes into the snow. Depending on like where you're sticking it, some parts are a little deeper than others. It's usually about between 6 and 8 inches is what you're looking at for the snow.
Okay.
So you think you could traverse through it. Mechanically speaking, you're only moving at about half speed. So instead of moving your 30
Right.
feet, you're moving about 15 feet, which does make your movement pretty slow. But
Trudging through snow.
yeah, as you're trudging through the snow, you can do if you'd like to do anything else, you can inspect the cave. You can inspect like anything else you'd like to look at before we move forward. If not, we'll move forward.
Yeah, I think.
Let's move forward.
Yeah.
I mean, we came out of the cave, so.
Jaz'Zara
Creepy
is
behind us.
well. Jaz'Zara is gonna look at you both, and she says, "I am going to tie the boat up here, so like it doesn't sail away in case for some reason we have to come back quickly. There is the only the one boat back and forth, and she's going to tie the boat to like this little stalagmite thing, and then she's going to do her own perception check, which is pretty good. Yeah, she gets a 22 for her perception check, so she does find what are a couple of stashed packs of supplies that are kept here for like the patrols that go out. In them, there's a couple of blankets. There's no like tents or anything like that, but there's like tinder boxes and for like starting fires and things like that. There's a couple of like basic knives, and there's like some food. It's not great food because it was meant to like last, so it's like a lot of dried like fruits and mushrooms and things like that.
Yum.
Yeah, so, but it's better than you had before. So you do have some basic supplies. You have, it's like just, and that's basically really base survival things that you needed of like starting fires and things like that. And they don't require like spells. And, and there's like little base knives that you can use to like cut down like branches and stuff like that. So, she disperses some of it between all of you. So now you guys have like tinder boxes and there's everybody at least has one blanket. They're thick blankets and they all came with thick winter cloaks. They're not gonna keep you from freezing to death if you do something real stupid, but they will basically help take the wind off of it. So, well, there's nowhere to go in the mountains, and even if we wanted to go into the mountains, we'd have to climb up a couple hundred feet of sheer cliff face, and I just don't think that's worth it, just to try and find something we don't know is here. I've never seen a civilization, a town, and anything here, but I have heard some of the other guards speak of activity further to the west. So there is an idea that some of our scouts have reported there is a settlement out there. None of us have ever been in it, but there is supposed to be one out there.
You know, Jazz, if I had wings, we could have just flown to the top of this mountain.
What do you want me to do about the wings, girl? Like, I don't have the ability to give you wings.
Either you're born that way or you're not. Squishy.
Like, unless you want to be
Stop pointing out my flaws.
I'm sorry you're not an Aarakocra, but you can't fly, girl. And in all honesty, let's be real. Even if you were, you'd be a penguin Aarakocra.
Harsh.
You literally just told me to change evolution for you so that you had wings. What do you want from me?
They could fly. You just asked for wings.
Neither of you are helping me.
You gotta be real.
Were we supposed to?
Specific when you ask a genie for wishes.
If I get the ability to transform you into something, I'm gonna turn you into a penguin person.
I hope that ability never crosses your way. Let's start walking before I hit either of you with my staff.
It's a new goal I have now.
Oh, great.
Learn to transform you into a penguin person.
Learn transfiguration.
And it's worse because your DM is making a note of penguin person.
The hours of research that will go into this is ridiculous.
Derail the whole campaign and throw it out after we kill a penguin. I swear. This is just like
I'm a flightless tiefling.
Suddenly I invent the new spell, penguin polymorph.
God.
Penguin morph.
then-
Mighty
and then
Morphin Penguin.
Mighty Morphin Penguin.
And then worse, it becomes canon. Someone picks it up and they're like, you know what? Penguins.
Yeah.
Ani,
Oh.
goddess of penguins.
Goddess of penguins.
Penguin
Oh.
persons. Mighty Morphin penguins.
Mighty Morphin Penguins. So I'm gonna have Jaz'Zara make a survival check to see if she can, and anybody else who wants to like try and make a survival check to
Sure.
like get your bearings, you can go for it.
12.
18.
Fantastic. So Jaz'Zara tells you guys that you need to go west, and Asha, you're able to like look at the sun, and you track the moon and like its movements a lot, and you're able to like look at the sun and get an idea, because you know that the sun and the moon rotate like pretty similarly, and you're able to tell like where west would be based on where the sun is and what like kind of what time that you think it is. So you able to like point them in a direction for west. It's a little strange just being out here, as everything is like brighter than you have ever seen. Like all of the snow is just bright white. Like the sky is a bright blue with this bright sun, and it's the brightest environment you've ever been in. And it is a little disorienting just because as you look out at the tundra, it is just endless, vast openness. There's like
It's
you
a good
might not
thing
have.
Sorry, it's a good thing that Asha can, see,
Basic navigation
basic
skills.
navigations with like the elements, because this one doesn't.
Oh,
I
Aaron
know where
looks
north,
scandalized.
south, east, and west are. Bitch! Jeez!
Aaron looks scandalized.
Wow, that came out of... Squishy.
Ooh, the gauntlet was thrown down. Okay. I'll turn her into a penguin for you, Aaron. I promise.
Thank you.
Ani, you made a terrible but amazing mistake when you introduced us. You know that, right?
I know. Now imagine if her and Jess meet.
Oh dear. I think she and I are still more alike.
Yeah, you are. But just imagine Jess in this
Oh my god.
group.
So it is a little disorienting just to be like in this very vast open space. If there is an opposite of claustrophobia, I don't know the name for it, but
Agoraphobia.
there you go. It's very borderline on that. You're not used to just having this vast openness in every direction. Miles and miles in like every direction. And
Going at half the pace.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And
be
there's
a
just-
cranky bitch.
There's just a vast open space in front of you. So you guys are going to start walking through the snow, and it's going to take you a couple days of travel, assuming you don't get super lost.
It's gonna take days.
Mm-hmm. It's going to take days, darling. So what we're going to do is every day we're going to roll a couple of times, and every couple of hours I'm going to have you roll me two things. I'm going to have one of you and we can hop between like me, Aaron, and Ani, and like go back and forth with it. You're just gonna roll a d20, and it's gonna be a random luck encounter of like seeing how your day is going, how the weather's going, whether or not you encounter anything. You'll add nothing to it. You'll just roll a straight d20, and it'll just be one of us at a time that does it. And then you're also going to roll me a Constitution saving throw to see if you get any levels of exhaustion. And if you do, it's going to start playing into what we do. So, so we're going to start. And Ani, if you will just roll straight d20, add nothing to it.
17.
Woo!
17, great. Weather is fine. There's no like snow falling. There's no rain. The sun is still up. And you guys haven't really encountered anything. You don't see any creatures. You don't see any movement. You don't see anything. It's just you guys in this tundra and some trees. But you keep moving west together. What kind of marching order are we going in? Are we all walking like side by side? It's probably easier if you go in a line so that the two people in behind the first person have an easier time walking.
I vote Jazz is in the front because she's got the most non-squishable elements.
Okay.
Well, I was also going to suggest that maybe we switch out who's in front every so often, so
that's
not
good.
the same person isn't breaking ground all the time and someone gets to take a...
You want to put the squishy air in the front when something comes straight at us?
I didn't say it would be for a long time and we'd still be watching.
Okay.
Just rotate out and make it a little easier for everyone.
Must have hit a nerve there.
Jaz'Zara kind of looks at Asha when like this conversation is going on, and it's just like, I think she's gonna learn there's not a lot of pampering on the surface. So get your ass in front, girl.
Something happens to me, you know that they're all coming after you. Just keep that in mind.
I'm just gonna go to a just different continent. Like I'll just go to a different continent. It's fine. I'll go somewhere else.
I'm sure you will. With your bones.
My bones?
Yeah. You'll go in a box full of bones, of your own bones. Just
ooh, she is
to another continent.
Salty today.
Yeah. And Jaz'Zara's gonna lean real close to Valkaria. It's like, you gonna threaten me? I'll leave your ass here, then what's gonna happen?
Facts, darling. Facts.
Yeah, facts. You have 0 survival skills and couldn't figure out where west was.
So don't put me in the front!
I can point you in a direction! Now pull your weight and walk!
Mumble, mumble, grumble, grumble.
So you guys are walking along. Everybody go ahead, and it's your literally your first like couple of hours. So you can roll me a Constitution saving throw with advantage.
Just Valkaria or everybody?
Everybody.
Okay.
11.
That's with advantage?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's up here. Saving throws.
Oh, duh. Sorry. 12.
12? Okay. So far, you guys are doing good. It's hard, and you're definitely not used to it. You've never trudged through snow before. It's wet, it's squishy, it's cold, but you are making progress, at the very least. So,
Asha, how are you faring? Are you swampy yet?
If I was a little warmer, it'd be called a swamp. Currently, it's just sad.
Fair.
All right. Asha, why don't you go ahead and roll me a d20?
I have a question.
Sure.
Can I use my my burning hands to just melt some of the ice in front of us?
Your burning hands will... Let me pull up your spell. Your burning hands will melt exactly 15 feet of snow forward.
And how many times can she use it before she runs out of...
3 times. It's a leveled spell, so
okay.
You can like fire it kind of like in a cone in front of you, and it'll hit everything within 15 feet in a frontward direction of you, like starting at a point of view and then going outwards a little bit.
Got it.
But yeah, so unfortunately that's not a spell you can use repetitively, and it'll wear you out really fast. So. Okay, Asha, what did you get on your d20?
16.
16. All right. So far, so good. You guys, you feel like you've gotten like your bearings of where you're going. You're trudging through the snow. It's starting to get later in the day. You've been traveling for most of the day. You haven't really seen a whole lot. Why don't either one of you can make me a perception check, or both of you can make me a perception check, or one of you can make it with advantage.
We'll do both. Let's see.
Both.
Perception. 14.
10.
10, and all right. Jaz'Zara got a 17. So it's starting to get kind of late, and she's gonna look at you guys and like, at this point, we've walked for most of the day. Judging by what I know, I think it'll be at least another day or so before we get to this village, assuming we haven't gotten off track and we're going in the right direction. So I think it's a good idea to start looking for a place to stay for the night and trying to set up some kind of camp. She finds like this cluster of probably about 10 like large oak trees, and she's gonna lead you guys in there, and it's still open, like you can see out like on every side, but it does, as you step into like the center, cuts down a lot of the wind that's bracing you, and it is
and everything.
Yeah, it's like a nice relief because like the solid like the trees themselves are blocking some of the wind, and then if any snowfall comes down, it'll be partially blocked by the canopy and everything like that. You guys can make me some survival checks if you would like, in order to find some wood or maybe some food.
17.
12.
Awesome. And Jaz'Zara rolls a natural 20. So
Yay.
Asha, as you're looking around, you and Valkaria, you're looking for, because you need to set up a camp, so you start pulling up some stones and trying to clear off some of the snow and stuff like that to try and make a safe place to put a fire that will actually be sustainable. And you find some actual dry branches and twigs and stuff like that off of some of the nearby trees. And so you pull those and you construct a nice fire with Valkaria's help. And Jaz'Zara kind of walks around the outside of the perimeter of the trees, and she might wander away for a couple minutes and then come back. And when she comes back, she's holding her cloak kind of bundled up, she's carrying something, and she did find a bunch of berries that are inside of it. So
berries.
Yeah, so she found some nice variety of winter berries and stuff like that you guys can eat. And you guys can go ahead and start a fire. If one of you would like to give me a survival check to do that, you can.
13.
13. You start a fire and you don't light anybody else on fire at the same time.
Yay!
Kudos to you. Kudos
An accomplishment.
There we go.
I'm safe for now.
Yeah, so you guys are now, the light's starting to die. You managed to get everything together before the sun fully set and everything like that, because you knew that would be safer. And now you're sitting in this cluster of trees. Anything you'd like to do or say as you sit down and snack on your berries and some very dry mushrooms?
These aren't the kind that your auntie likes to find, is it? And burn?
I doubt it.
Okay.
I sincerely doubt it.
On a note, Asha, you have not fully explored the pack Jacinda gave you.
Oh, maybe it'd be a good time, since
Yeah,
the
let's
cave
see
was
what
so
goodies
dark we
what
couldn't...
Jacinda gave you.
Alright, let's open her up.
So you're gonna dig around a little into the pack Jacinda gave you. A little wary. A little wary. Because you've met Jacinda. You know what kind of
put
stuff
anything
she's
in
into.
here.
It could be literally just about anything could be in this. It could be hallucinogenics. It could be bombs, for all you know.
Could be just ribbons for dancing in the moonlight.
I was thinking leaves.
Yeah, there's so many things it could be, and it's a little worrying as you open it. In one of the pockets, you do find a cluster of multicolored mushrooms. You can do me a nature check if you'd like to try and identify them.
Got 13.
13.
Oh.
There's about 6 or 7 of them. A couple of reds, blues, greens, and then there's a couple that are a little yellowish and a little greenish. You're not entirely sure what those ones are, but the other ones are common ingredients in some of them are spell components, and some of them are things that you guys use commonly in ingredients for cooking and stuff like that. But there's a couple of them in there that are a little yellow, a little spotted, and you're just I don't really know what those do.
Ma'am.
Yeah. So as you're digging through the rest of the pack, you actually find there's a bottle of ink that's in it, and there's just normal black ink, but there is a sealed bottle of ink in it. There is a nice but practical ink pen as well, and about
to write my suicide note. Perfect.
Well, it does come with 10 sheets of parchment paper for you to do so on.
You guys can write one too.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. It comes with a little bag of sand as well, and you, with all of your scholarly knowledge, would know that it's especially useful when scholars are traveling. You can throw it on the ink to dry the ink up, and then you can scoop the sand off of it. And there's a little knife in there as well. It's pretty small. It's only a couple inches, but there's a little knife in there as well. So, and as you're digging around the pack and you fish out, and from the very bottom of the pack, you actually find a fairly old book on the history of the surface world. So it's kind of
what do we
base.
got?
Yeah. it's kind of basic. It's in what you know to be the common language of the surface prior to the calamity. So it's like Old Common. And
really old then.
yeah,
Your
and
aunt
it's just
scares me sometimes. Your aunt scares me sometimes.
Yeah, but sometimes she has a scary way of being right in a weird way.
Oh, I get that. The fact that she gave you this book.
Maybe the mushrooms told her.
Maybe the mushrooms told her.
it could have been the ribbons too. Like she was throwing those out the window. So who knows what was talking to Jacinda that day? So, but it is a book of just. It looks like as you like flip through like the table of contents and everything, it looks like a brief like summary of the history of a continent that you guys you know that you're on the continent of Wildmount because that's what it was called before the calamity and everything like that. And it just says brief history of Wildmount, and then it has some years on it, and you know that it predates the calamity. So,
I wonder if there's any maps in here.
That'll be helpful.
And you can flip through it, read it, whatever you'd like to do with it as you like investigate it. And you could start reading it tonight if you wanted to.
I'll read it during my watch this evening.
There you go. Valkaria, is there anything you wanted to do?
Do you guys think they're okay? Do you think the city's still standing?
And at that kind of like a somber mood like takes over the camp as you guys think about your city and your home as you're sitting around this fire in a completely new environment, having no idea what's happening back home and with all of your people.
I believe the city is still standing. How everybody's doing, I can only guess.
I think there was a lot of people, things really, attacking our city. But knowing our people, if anybody can deal with it, it'll be them. I don't know what's going to happen with them. I don't know if we get the chance to return with this army your father spoke of, what we'll find, but all we can do is try.
Like, I'm ready, but I'm also not ready to leave this city. Like,
Yeah.
Not under these circumstances.
It was definitely
also, I hope no one finds our cave.
Well, our cave doesn't... Our cave has been there since the beginning of the Nameless City. Like, it wasn't something we created, so...
Oh, no, I know. I just hope no one finds it. Because I have precious jams and jellies and jewels that I don't want anyone getting.
And Jaz'Zara kind of looks at you like that's your issue. She does kind of like tilt her head and like that's your main focus. Okay.
I gotta provide the comic relief somehow. Come on.
Just simple things.
Like
Jaz'Zara just kind of reaches over. Jaz'Zara reaches over and she like playfully shoves you to the side a little, and she's like, to be fair, all of the money I've been saving to come to the surface is in fact still at home. And not with me, so...
See?
So we'll be whores yet.
Well, if we get super desperate, I guess we can put Valkaria on a street corner somewhere.
Me?
Yeah.
You're gonna hoe me out. Not this one, the Moonweaver.
She's a person of a goddess, of course not. And you're the one who's supposed to lead the city. You're supposed to be the one sacrificing for everybody, so...
So you're gonna turn your future leader into a whore.
Why not?
Why don't we just use your skills at gambling and taking people's money?
Oh, you wanted me to share that. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. And Jaz'Zara takes one of her gold coins and she flicks it at you.
Is this for services rendered or unrendered as of yet?
You wanted me to share, so I'm sharing.
Half now, half later.
Thank you.
You can keep all your services to yourself.
Thank you so much. I like this kind of pouring out. I do absolutely nothing and I get money.
Don't get used to it, sweet cheeks.
I will throw you to the dogs, ma'am.
I'm staying out of this.
She is the most well-armored person here. We should definitely not be throwing her anywhere. She's also the main healer here. We should, no, we're not throwing her anywhere. the sun fades and you guys like try to bunk down. You have like some blankets and some very base supplies with you. And you do like huddle together like around the fire. And who would like to take which watch? You will have 3 watches, like 1 for each.
I'll take first watch.
Okay.
I'll take second.
All right, and then Jaz'Zara will take the last watch then. All right. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
4.
A grand 4, a royal 4. You're sitting there for the evening. You know, you don't see anything, you don't hear anything except for the howling of the wind like through the trees. There's no snowfall or anything. It gets very dark, which is a little more familiar to you than the bright sunlight of the day. It
Sweet
gets
relief to my eyes.
It does get colder, but you do have an odd sense as you're sitting there and you're like surrounded by these trees, like you're looking out at the tundra, and you at some point look up and you can see through the canopy something you have only seen a very rare few times in your life, and that is a giant field of stars.
Ooh.
And it's so dark, and the stars are twinkling, and it looks like somebody took little shards of crystals and scattered them across the sky. And in the center of the sky, slowly moving in 2 different paths, is the large moon that you know as Katha, and then a much more unknown moon to you that is red and significantly smaller as they both make their way across the sky throughout the night.
I just kind of lean back on my elbows and just admire the beauty and vastness of wherever the hell we are, because it's just so different.
Yeah, it's
on high alert.
Strange. Yeah,
I'm on high alert because it is strange.
Yeah,
but it's also very beautiful.
It's an odd feeling to be in such like a foreign space with the vastness of the sky and the changing of the lighting around you, which is really strange. But even considering the circumstances that you're under to get here, you can't deny that it's a beautiful place.
While I'm on watch, I take my staff and I just kind of draw whatever constellations I can find through the canopy into the ground near me while watching.
Sure.
So, just to pass the time.
All right. Draw some constellations. You get like there's a couple of them that you've seen, like that Asha has done before, and like that she knows. There's a couple that you just kind of make up here and there into like different shapes and stuff like that. But your watch is uneventful, but thoughtful.
Okay.
All right. Your watch comes to an end, and you'll go and you'll wake Asha up, and for her watch. So go ahead.
Jesus, it's cold out here. Very perceptive.
Very perceptive, ma'am. Very.
Okay, so it's 23. It was 18 plus 5.
All right. So Valkaria, you like hunker down like with your one blanket and your cloak. You've got your cloak underneath you because the cloak is waterproof. So like, or at least heavily water resistant. So that's underneath everyone. Like you've spread your cloaks out underneath so you don't get soaked with the water of the snow. And you tuck your blanket around you, and you're huddled up next to like Jaz'Zara and Asha, and like trying to keep warm. And it's just like, and you have a very infernal fire nature to you as a tiefling. But even you're cold, and it's just
I'm naturally cold to the touch.
Yeah, but like inside of you as a tiefling, you have like an inner hellfire that exists.
Okay, yeah, my hellfire is
your hellfire
that's
is
what it is about you.
It's like you have a moment of thinking to yourself, it's rumored that several of the layers of the 9 hells are made of ice, and you're just thinking to yourself, no, it's no longer hellfire, it's hell fucking tundra at this point. And you are cold. So
and I am not happy.
No, but you bunk down, you bundle yourself up, and you do drift off to sleep. And Asha, as you're sitting there, you have a very odd experience of just having all of the time in the world to stare at not one moon, but 2. And seeing the moon in the Underdark, even the moon that your whole family is aware of Katha, it's an odd experience to get to look at it just for as long as you want, because there's such a limited window of time that Katha goes over the crack in the ceiling of the Nameless City, but you just get to spend hours looking at it. But you also have this very strange experience of getting to look at this much smaller but very red moon that is also in the sky.
Well, little buddy, I never noticed you were red. This is so cool. I wonder what my parents would think. Get a little sad.
As Valkaria mumbles from beneath her blanket, I wonder what Auntie Cinda would think.
And I mumble back, she'd think a lot of things, but we ain't gonna talk about that. Now go sleep.
Chainsaw noises.
Such a beautiful, delicate sound.
Is there anything you'd like to do while you're on watch?
I'd like to, I don't know, maybe not, obviously not wander away, but like wander to the edge of the tree line to get an even better look.
Okay. And as you're standing there, you're staring up at the moon, and like you kind of like look around you to make sure you don't see any, like there's no creatures around, and you don't see anything. And you're staring at the moon, and you notice, the first thing you notice is there's a significant size difference in between Katha, which is a very large moon, and then this other red moon that you don't know the name of. There seems to be a lot more like feature to it, and as you stare at it, you did roll 23 on your perception check, so I am going to apply that check to this. You stare at it and you watch it for a very long time, and it's making a much slower arc across the sky. It will not complete its arc across the sky like by the time the sun rises. But it's so far away that you don't see it during the day. At least you didn't see it earlier today. And like as you stare at it, there seems to be like, when you look at Katha, you can see, if you focus on it, like different colorations to it where you assume is like terrain. And you start to notice that on the red one as well, in that the longer you stare at it, though, those color patterns shift locations slightly. So you're not really sure if it's rotating or what's going on there, but you do notice like a color shifting on it.
And I feel so inspired. I have to write all of this down so that I can tell people about it when we get home. If we get home. Thank you. Thank you.
So you start writing after you walk around a little bit, like you start writing as you like, and you intend to go like write in your journal, and you have like these new pages that came in the pack from Jacinda as well, and you have ink and like pens and everything. And as you turn around to like go from the edge of the tree line like back to the group, you have a weird sensation of being watched, and so you just have this odd sensation that something is watching you. What would you like to do?
Can I roll another perception check, or?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. We have 16.
16. Here. Okay. You take a moment to stop, kind of like look around, take a slow like turn of looking around. And as you do, you're still standing in the tree line, but you're looking now past, like through the trees of our campsite. And on the other side, almost directly across from you, there's these two little golden eyes that are looking at you.
Oh, please. Not on my watch. Not on my watch.
And you hear this...
Friendly.
You hear this noise. And it's a noise you've never really heard before, but it's almost a hissing noise, but it's really like a breathy hissing noise. And like it does it like a couple times, and as you're watching it, then the eyes just like kind of like shift back, almost like they're hiding. But the feeling of being watched doesn't go away.
Mind your business, yellow eyes. Go. Pretend we didn't see each other, please.
Nothing comes from it. Yeah, you don't. It doesn't like reappear or anything like that. So you're gonna go like write in your journal about the moon?
Yes.
So you sit, like you start writing. There's a lot of things going on about the moon and everything like that. And it is probably about another hour in, and I want you to give me a perception check.
Shiny.
18.
I love Valkaria's sleep talking. 18. You get that feeling of being watched again. And it is a little more prevalent at this point. Like it's a very strong feeling of being watched, and
feels like it got closer.
Yeah, and the feeling of being watched is coming from behind you, and that's about the time you hear this breathy hissing noise again.
Thought we talked about this, Yellow Eyes. Started to wonder, oh god, what's worse?
You can almost not hear the creature noise over Valkaria's loud snoring.
First I thought it was just like her exhale, right? Like,
yeah. like she was having some kind of weird problems over there, but
yeah. But I think it might be time to get Jazz up, because I'm not gonna try and get that one up.
You reach over and like you shake Jazz awake, and she wakes up. Oh, what happened? Are we okay? What happened?
I have this weird feeling that I'm being watched, and I saw these yellow eyes earlier, and I think I need someone else to confirm I'm not crazy.
Okay.
I love how Jazz's first reaction is, "What happened?"
Yeah.
Well, she knows.
It's a fair assumption. It's a fair assumption. She looks at you. Where did you see them?
Well, they were over there, but now I feel like they're back that way.
So she turns around and she's going to do perception check.
They heard the call of their people with Valkaria snoring.
So she gets to 16. And she turns around like she is looking, and she sees these two little golden eyes, and like the light of Katha is like reflecting on them, and they're very close together. So like whatever creature it is, it has like a slim head, like she can estimate, or at least their eyes are like very close together. And
Predator.
she's looking, and she's looking at it, and she's gonna slowly like get up. And like she has her bow, and she has an arrow, and she points at you, Asha, but she doesn't say anything, but she points at you, and then she like tells you to go around like the other side, so you're gonna like try to flank it from each side.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's gonna go to the right, and she signals for you to go to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You gonna go to the left?
Mm-hmm. I'm sneaking, yes.
Okay.
Quietly. Should I do a stealth check?
It is watching you, so you don't have to do so much of a stealth check. Do me a nature check to approach slow enough that it doesn't run away.
Where'd it go? 6.
6? Okay. You're starting to approach. Jaz'Zara got like a 17, and it's starting to focus on Jaz'Zara as she's moving closer to it. You can see like the glow of its eyes turn, and like it's starting to focus on her. And just as you like step forward and you're getting closer to it, you can't really make much of it out, just because it's like hiding in like some brush and stuff like that. You can just see the eye shine, and you step on like a twig that breaks. And as soon as you step on that twig, it bursts like out of the bush, and there's this creature you have never seen before, but it's like pure white, and it's got like this elongated neck to it, and it just hisses at you, and it right in your face, because you are much closer to it now, and it hisses at you, and it like waves itself around, and it's freaking the fuck out. It's not very big. It's probably about 1.5 feet, but it's freaking out, and it's hitting at you, and it's hissing at you like nobody's business. And
should have brought my shield.
It's starting to freak out. It doesn't go to attack you or anything. It's just hissing at you, and then it turns to Jaz'Zara, starts hissing at Jaz'Zara, and then like it turns back to you, and it's got like this thin neck to it, and it's just hissing at you, and it's just freaking out. This creature's just losing its mind.
Guys, I'm trying to sleep.
Shut up!
Quiet, your Earth cat!
Quiet, the Earth cat?
Whatever the hell is hissing, shut it up.
Is there anything specific you want to do as this creature you don't know what it is freaking out at you?
Well, first I want to hit her, but we're gonna focus on the creature. And I'm gonna talk nice and quiet to it, but I'm gonna be looking at Jazz for some support, we should say. And let's see how. It's okay, baby. Do we give it food? Do we give it? What do we do? What? What is it?
I don't know. I've never seen it before. And the creature like turns its very long neck and like it looks at Jaz'Zara as she talks and like it hisses at her, and then it turns its head back to you. And you can roll me a nature check if you'd like, or a animal handling check depending on which is better for you, to see if you can maybe calm it down.
Okay, that's a 13.
13. Okay, like it starts focusing on you a little more, and like it sees like your calming motions, and it's still hissing at you, but and like it's got itself like puffed up, and like it's got all of its limbs like kind of spread out to make itself look bigger, and it's like puffed up, but it's focusing on you now. And it doesn't seem like it's gonna attack it. Like it hisses at you if you try to get a little closer to it, but it's not freaking out quite as much.
Okay.
What would you
let's see. Jazz, do you have any ideas about more than we can do the hand gestures to calm it down?
Jaz'Zara's gonna reach in her pack and pull out like a piece of the jerky that she has, and she's gonna try and like she gets the creature's attention so she doesn't freak it out, and she's gonna like toss it forward, and she will roll an animal handling check to see if it's interested in what she threw. That is a 12. This creature takes its long neck and it kind of like looks down and then like it kind of like pokes at it a little, and then like it kind of like it picks it up in its mouth, but it's staring at her, and like it moves away from Jaz'Zara. But as it does move a little closer to you. So now it's probably like 5 feet away from you. It seems happy with the food, but distrustful of those who are giving it to it.
Right. Okay, are you good now, little baby?
It turns at you and it's got like food like hanging out, so like it hisses at you some more.
All right, we're just on different wavelengths here today.
You could try and give me another animal handling check if you'd like to try and like get it to stop freaking out so much.
Got 10.
10. So it this creature, it finishes eating and like it starts to like back away, but like it has turned itself when it's looking at you, so now it's facing the opposite from the way it came, and like it starts walking backwards away from you, and it crawls like over, like it walks backwards over this log that you've all been laying on, and it absolutely walks over Valkaria, and like it keeps going, like it steps like right on her face and just keeps walking. No. And it has now stopped, and it has perched itself on top of Valkaria. It's not doing anything. It is now sitting there finishing its food and sitting on top of Valkaria.
She's gonna be real mad at us when she wakes up. You know that, right?
It starts to like clean itself a little. It's just sitting there. Jaz'Zara is just kind of looking at this, and like she kind of has her hands on her face. She's like, I want to wake her up, but at the same time, I don't want to wake her up.
I mean, I think she'd be excited about having a little friend.
Is it violent? It was hissing at us. What if we wake her up, she freaks out, and it like takes one of her eyes out? And this creature,
but if it runs away and she didn't get to pet it, we're gonna be in trouble too.
What if it tries to eat her? What if it doesn't? What is
for someone who is so ready to throw me into the whorehouse?
Well, look, she's your actual friend. She just has to be sarcastic to your face.
Yeah, I'm just surprised you're not rolling the dice to see which way this is gonna go.
I haven't gotten to the dice part yet. So the creature is, and I'll roll for the attitude of the creature. How's that? The creature got a nat 20. It's real happy. It likes where it is. It is fully sitting on top of Valkaria. It's cleaning itself. It's having a good time. It has found a nice squishy spot to just rest, and it's like distressfully watching Jaz'Zara and Asha, but it's happy. It's content as far as it's concerned. It's found a lovely bed for the evening.
Well, so I can't blame it. It's cold. She's probably pretty warm. You know, it's got a little perch it can see. I don't know. What do I do?
And the creature
if it can stand that noise, all the power to it.
The creature like tucks its head in, and it's gonna go to sleep. It's happy.
Oh my god. Okay. I mean, let sleeping long neck things lie. Maybe, and just watch it so that it doesn't maul our friend to death?
I really hope it moves before she wakes up, but at the same time, okay, I guess. I mean, I'll stay up and watch it. But
like I'm gonna be able to sleep with this happening.
I mean, okay, if we wake her up, how do we do it so she doesn't freak the fuck out?
I mean, honestly, going close to her is not gonna do it. You know? Did anybody know a spell to
Jaz'Zara.
throw voices?
Jaz'Zara is she's gonna say, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna give something a shot, and she's going to take one of her arrows, and she's gonna turn it around so she's holding like the actual like pointy part of it, and the little feathers on the end. She's gonna get like as far away as she can from Valkaria, and she's gonna reach her arrow over with the little feathery part, and she's gonna tickle Valkaria's nose with the feather on the end of the arrow. Like maybe I could get her to like just slightly wake up. I am going to roll a sleight of hand check to make sure she doesn't smack you in the face with it. We'll find out what happens.
Okay.
It's a 14. Like it like kind of bumps in your face a little, but like she doesn't smack you with it, and like you feel this little feather, and you can Valkaria, you can roll a perception check with disadvantage because you are asleep.
Is there a disadvantage part?
No, you'll roll 2 d20s and take the lower number.
Okay. I'll take the lower number.
Mm-hmm.
2.
The
other one was a 15.
A grand total of a 2. You don't feel it. You don't feel anything. You don't wake up.
I am dead asleep.
Yep. Jaz'Zara's just kind of looking at Asha, and she's like, okay, backup plan.
Poker.
And so she will, and she's gonna take the end of this arrow and kind of like poke it at your ear and see if she can get you to wake up that way. And you can give me another perception check at disadvantage.
1.
Both times.
2 natural ones?
Yeah.
I'm out cold.
You're good. Looking like you just fucking asleep. You dead to the world. Like, like she normally look a little dead, but now you're starting to question, like, holy shit, did she freeze to death? You're both starting to get a little concerned at this point. Like, oh, okay. She doesn't know the creature sleeping on her. She doesn't notice getting whacked in the face with an arrow. Is she dead? Like, Jaz'Zara looks at Asha. Is she okay? Is she alive? Like, and like
she's still snoring, so she's not dead. Comatose, maybe.
Okay. Unless you got any other ideas,
tap her horn. Tap her horn. Clap, clap, clap.
Oh, okay. So Jaz'Zara, she's gonna put the arrow back. Like it's not working. She takes her bow out and she's just gonna tap.
I said tap. I didn't say smash.
What do you want from me? This is not working.
I'm surprised none of you have thought of the idea of trying to steal my shiny, because I'm pretty sure I'm in tune with that thing.
We'd have to get
There's a creature sleeping on top of you that we don't know what it is.
Too close
so
to
Jaz'Zara
the thing.
Is gonna poke you now instead with her whole ass bow and just kind of like just tap you with it. And you can roll another perception check with disadvantage. You know what? Let's make it a straight roll, no disadvantage, because a bow is heavy.
2.
That's it.
No, you asleep.
That's it.
She's asleep. She's either dead or she's asleep. Like that's
okay. Well, it looks like we're just gonna have to let her do what she's gonna do, Jazz.
Yeah.
And we have to make the thing move.
Good night, Asha. You can go to bed because it's not gonna move and she's not gonna wake up. So I'm not fucking touching it. And
it's like me in real life.
And I'm just sitting there.
And the creature,
wrapped
for
in
the
a blanket.
Yeah, it looks happy. Looks just is asleep. It's content. It hasn't moved through any of this. It rolled a natural fucking 20. That is the happiest creature you've ever fucking seen.
And she rolled 2 natural fucking ones.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Like,
holy shit. Like, all you needed was like a 10, girl. Like, you didn't fucking need much.
Both of them are offsetting penalties. I'm just gonna curl up in my blanket and pretend this is not happening.
Yep. And, like, Asha, you kind of, like, curl up to go to sleep, but you're just staring directly at Valkaria and the creature. Whether you get any more sleep or not is only the gods know. But Jaz'Zara just kind of sits there, and she kind of, like, stares at the creature and Valkaria the whole night. The creature doesn't move. The creature's happy. It doesn't move. It's, for the record, it's probably about 2.5 feet like long, maybe like 1.5 wide, but it's just sitting there, it's having a good time. So the sun eventually does rise, stars fade, and Asha, you wake up, there's still a creature sleeping on Valkaria. And very slowly, Valkaria, you begin to wake up for the morning. And as you wake up, there is absolutely something sitting on your chest.
Oh, hi, little buddy. How long have you been there?
The creature, like, kind of, like, takes its head out from where it had tucked it, and its face is now very close to your face, because it is a very long neck, and its face is, like, a couple inches from your face, and it just looks at you, and straight into the middle of your eyes, just pecks you once, right in the middle of the eyes, and then it
Ow! What was that for? You hungry?
And it...
Can I just, like, scratch it under its, like, chin?
No, that makes us two sit up straight and go, oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Yeah, both Jaz'Zara and Asha are fully watching you. Asha, like, probably a little terrified, and then Jaz'Zara does have her bow in her hand, but, like, not pointed at anything.
She's just ready.
Yeah, she is just ready. And there's just this creature. It's not heavy. Like, it is a large-ish creature, but it's not heavy as it's sitting on you. Like, it didn't wake you up when it sat on you. It didn't do anything.
Well, nothing woke her the fuck up, so...
Yeah.
Can I roll an animal handling check and just, like, start scratching it under its chin?
Sure, yeah.
1. Again, this...
So you roll a 1. It does not, like, it doesn't... Something about what you've done has displeased it. Maybe you scratched it in the wrong spot or whatever. It hisses at you very loudly. It gets up, and now it walks over to Asha, and it plops down right in front of Asha.
I'm so sorry. Come back. Come back.
We weren't friends last night, and hello.
Asha, go ahead and roll me an animal handling check.
Sure. I've got 5 plus 3, so 8.
8. It kind of looks at Valkaria. It looks at Asha. It kind of like wiggles itself a little, like it's displeased at everything that's happening. It's a little little huffing noise. And it turns around and it walks off into the brushes in which it came.
Okay, bye!
Do you want to be my friend?
Jaz'Zara's gonna get up and she's gonna, like, see if she can see it. And...
Was that thing sleeping on me all night?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. It showed up in the middle of the night, sat on you, and would not leave.
Okay.
We tried to wake you up multiple times.
Multiple. I smacked you with my bow in the face, and you didn't do anything.
Really? Damn.
Yes. Right. Like, we honestly tried multiple times to wake you up, and it's just nothing. Just absolutely nothing. And Jaz'Zara goes over to, like, where it went, and it's just fully gone. It is fully... There's not even tracks in the snow. Like, it is just gone.
Bye.
And Jaz'Zara just kind of looks at the both of you. No, there's no tracks. And Jaz'Zara just kind of... Well, actually, you know what, Asha? Go ahead and roll me a... You can roll me a perception check or a survival. Either one, and you can look for tracks.
Okay. 15.
15? Because it was sitting, like, right in front of you. When you look down, there are tracks, like, in the ground. There's only 2.
Mm-hmm. It's like it just plopped itself here and then hovered off. But I thought it was walking. Was it a ghost?
I really hope the surface doesn't have ghost creatures. And Jaz'Zara just looks like it is the very beginning of the day, and Jaz'Zara already looks tired. She's just oh.
Kind of wish I was awake for this that night.
We tried!
It wasn't without effort, I promise. It was definitely not without effort. So you guys can go, like, you go and you, like, pack up your camp a little reluctantly and a little slowly, constantly, like, looking over your shoulder at where the creature came from. But you do like keep looking, but you pack up your stuff and everything. You like grab a couple of like extra like dry twigs in case you don't find any more in the future. And everybody can give me a survival check to figure out where the hell you're going.
18.
11.
All right, and Jaz'Zara got a 14. So, once again, Asha is leading the way of where we're going, and it helped too. Like Asha, as you were at night, for what little time you did get a look at the moon before the weird creature showed up, you were able to like track like the path of the moon, which helped you orient yourself like with the directions and everything like that. And you point us all off in the direction of where we're headed. So we're all headed west once again, and to start our day off, everybody can roll me a Constitution saving throw to start with.
16.
Constitution saving throw. 7.
7.
Sorry.
Let's see. You rolled last time. Both of you rolled last time, so now it's Jaz'Zara's turn or my turn to roll for the environment of the day. All right, a whole 12. As you guys are walking, it's been a couple hours. Valkaria specifically, you're really just starting to get cold, and like your boots are wet, your pants are wet from the snow, and it's hitting you harder than you think probably the other two at this point.
My toes are froze, and my nose is froze, and my horns are froze, and my tail is froze. I want out of this!
And it is, you do start to slow down a bit, but as you guys are walking, you hear a sound off in the distance, and it sounds like a deep yell, like a very deep yelling sound. And as you look off to the west, you do see, it's pretty far, like I would say probably more than 500 yards away from you, but there's 4 creatures, and make me a perception check to see if you can figure out what the hell is going on.
Great. Wonder if it's that, well, maybe that thing can do more than hiss.
It's a whole horde of them.
21. It's a 16 plus 5, not a natural. There's no natural in there.
Asha, as you look at these creatures, they are bipedal, much bigger than whatever the hell was on Valkaria last night. And so like you look at them, and you can identify them as a group of frost giants. They are frost giants. They're huge creatures. You estimate anywhere like 10 to 15 feet in a variety of the 4 creatures. And you would know, Asha, from your studies that these are not known for being friendly creatures.
Of course they're not.
Bogies inbound.
So Jaz'Zara's gonna grab both of you, and she's gonna like push you down a little closer to the snow. And she says, let's watch them and see where they go and what they do. We don't want to attract their attention. There's more of them than there are of us, and they're huge. I've encountered one before on one of my patrols. They don't go down easy. I'd much prefer if we don't have to fight them at all. Let's just see if they move on.
You have me face first in the snow.
Shh.
You shush!
Shh. Complain later when you're alive. Shh.
And everybody can go ahead if you all agreed on the idea of hiding. Mm-hmm. You can go ahead and roll me a stealth check.
16.
14.
Okay. Jaz'Zara got an 11. You guys are like hunkered down in the snow. It is a group check, and as a group you did pass. And you watch these frost giants go, and they seem to be going further south away from you, and eventually they do move far enough away that, you know, even if they did see you, like, there's so much distance, you don't think they would come after you. So everybody
Can I get up now?
I think it's safe.
Slowly, quietly, but yes.
Just don't do any magic or anything that'll attract a lot of attention to us. Do you do magic in this moment, Valkaria? Do you do magic in this moment? You were waving your hands.
I was getting all the snow off of me.
Okay.
In a very animated manner.
Just checking. I've got some enemy dice here, and I was like, let's see.
I mean, I'm very tempted to use my burning hands to just kind of warm myself up, but you said no magic, so. And I don't want to die now.
That's fair. So you guys kind of you do hunker like in the snow for a little while. It's uncomfortable to like be in the snow, but Valkaria specifically, the short rest that you guys do it is appreciated. Just so you're not trudging through snow for a moment. It does give you a moment to like catch your breath again. So you are, because if you get 2 below 10 Constitution saving throws, I'm going to give you a level of exhaustion. But taking this break helps you deal with that. So.
You know, with how much I really detest this snow right now, I'd much rather take on an army of Ilithids than deal with this. That is how much I don't like it.
I'm gonna pass on that, and I'm gonna just. And Jaz'Zara, she gets up, like she's dusted the snow off of her, and she's going to hand you one of the mushroom rations that she has, which is a red mushroom that it's dried, but it's one of the fire mushrooms, and it is warm if you eat it.
Sweet, sweet heat. Nom, 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 nom.
I like to think Valkaria makes that noise as she eats. Like that.
Chomp, 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 chomp.
It's been a minute, alright? I need to replenish my heat, and that just helped.
You know, and like sitting in the snow. Sitting in the snow does give you guys a little bit of a short break. But as you guys trudge forward, want everybody to give me a Constitution saving throw, and then Valkaria can roll me just a straight D20.
With a Constitution saving throw?
No,
No,
that's gonna be separate.
Okay, so just a D20.
Yeah, you can go ahead and start with just that. What is the number you get straight on the die?
18.
18? Great. Okay.
I got 15.
Okay, and Valkaria, what's your Constitution saving throw?
21.
21? Fantastic. As you hit over 20, you don't have to worry about getting a level of exhaustion, especially because like you have to fail twice in a row.
Okay.
To get a level of exhaustion, and you actually that fire like mushroom that you ate it's really helping. You're feeling a lot better. Your limbs are starting to thaw out. And it does help, and the snow is not nearly as bad as it was a couple hours ago. And as you do that, and you guys are trudging through the snow, who at this point in the day, you're probably a couple hours past noon at this point, who is in the lead?
I'm gonna go with you.
Okay, that's fine.
I have another question. Can I breathe fire?
No.
Damn it. Okay.
Not a dragon, unfortunately.
Damn it.
You notice that the terrain at this point starts to change. It's not so much flat, open tundra as it is more and more gatherings of trees. You're coming upon large groups of trees to the point that you're starting to walk through them. You started to walk around a couple of them, but they just started getting so large you just started to cut your path right through the trees. And as you're walking through, and you don't really see anything going on, and the trees get denser and thicker and closer together until it's almost like a wall of trees, and you're like picking your way through, crunching on snow, and snow turns into like a lot of roots in snow. And as you're picking your way through them, as you step through an area of these trees, you come upon a very surprising scene in that to your left is a gravestone. And I want you all to make a perception check for me.
What is that doing here?
Like a bad omen.
Seriously.
14.
15.
And Jaz'Zara got a 13, so... as you look at this gravestone, you kind of look around and you notice there's another one, probably about 10 feet, a little ways away from it, forward. And
so that's 2.
And are you gonna like walk through like from one to the other?
I'm already walking through.
Oh yeah, and as Valkaria, as you go forward, there's another one, a little further forward.
Count 3.
And you look around some more, and there's like a couple more to the left. You see another one to the right, and you keep progressing forward. Or do you want to inspect?
Guys, it's a whole ass cemetery here.
And as you're walking through, I'm assuming you're just gonna keep like walking through it, maybe exploring a little.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna
poking things with my staff.
Is there anything specific you would like to do as you walk through this graveyard?
I was gonna kneel down and try and read some of the headstones.
Sure.
To dust some of the snow off and try and read.
Any particular one, like the first one, further one, just any random one?
Any random one, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just kneel down in front of it and try and read it. Brush off the stone with my gloves, and I'm trying to get it in, and I can just barely make out the writing.
Can I make a investigation check and just see if there's anything around here?
Sure.
Or like in the dirt, in the whatever. Just
sure.
Auras.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what I should be doing too, or should I be doing?
You can give me a perception check to make out what's written on the stone.
Okay. I got a natural 20.
Ooh.
Which puts me up to 22. All
right.
I got 19.
19. You both did really well. We'll start with Asha. As you're looking at this grave, it doesn't look like it's super old. It is worn and weathered a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. The dates on it tell you that it was an older person who had passed away, probably of what you estimate about 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the name on it is Elthorn Silent Hammer, which surprises you.
Guys, this is a Silent Hammer grave.
What the hell's a Silent Hammer doing on the surface?
Maybe some of them didn't come down here. Come down to us.
Jaz'Zara comes in, like, she looks over, and she's like, that's really surprising, but maybe there were dwarves who lived here on the surface? I guess maybe not. I mean, I heard that the Silent Hammer family was an old family, like, before they came to the Nameless City. Like, not like they ever let any of us forget it. But maybe there's some of them who've still lived here.
Which means that people can actually survive up here.
Yeah, those dates are pretty recent, aren't they, Asha? Like,
by all guesses, I mean, unless they completely changed their dating system, it looks like it's, wouldn't you say, about 20 years?
That's a good sign. It might be the first good sign we've gotten since we've been up here.
Unless they were exiled.
But then we would have buried them.
The exiling point is a good point, because Valkaria, if anybody's going to know about exiling people, it would be you, because considering who your dad is. Exiling has happened before. It has happened only that you are aware of on 4 separate occasions throughout the entire history of the Nameless City. The last one was about 150 years ago. You do know that dwarves do live a very long time, and about 150 years ago there were 3 people who were exiled for what their crimes were. You can roll me a history check and we'll see if you know what that is.
14.
You're not entirely sure the specifics of what they were exiled for, but you know there was 1 Silent Hammer, and then there were 2 of the Crystal Catchers, and that they were all exiled. You're not entirely sure.
Do I know the name of the Silent Hammer or no?
You do know that they were exiled. It wasn't for like murder or anything like that. You're not entirely sure what it was, but you do know there was 3 of them, and it was about 150 years ago. So
okay.
Let's check some of the other graves to see if anything else lines up with people we know.
I mean, if we find some of the Crystal Catchers, then I'm gonna have to put 2 and 2 together. But continue.
And for your investigation roll, as you're digging around, you're looking a little, like you're clearing some snow away from things, and you notice on these gravestones they get more recent the further forward that you go, the further west that you go. So they're getting more and more recent, and like the
closer
shapes
to
of
the encampment. Okay.
Yeah, what you assume, because you can't see anything really beyond the trees that are very thick. It's very overgrown, but you think as you look at these graves that it is a tradition of these people to try and put these gravestones where they're not going to get buried under a lot of snow. So you have to put them in this tree area.
Okay.
As if anyone wanted to visit them, like, they would be mostly buried in snow on most of the year. So they putting them in or all of the year really, and so putting them around these trees, you can tell that like it's probably made for the purposes of people being able to visit them. Most of them seem to be either dwarven or elvish names with a couple of humans sprinkled here and there. You don't find any other silent hammers. As you're like investigating these, you do find 2 crystal catcher names though, and they're probably about 10 feet away from the silent hammer one.
How old do these crystal catcher tombstones look?
Slightly more recent than the silent hammer.
They look older than the silent hammer one. Like the silent hammer one, the date for death is about 20 years ago. The crystal catcher one is older than that but you would know, both of you would know, gnomes don't live as long as dwarves do.
Oh.
So they are older graves. They look like they were probably kept in the general same vicinity, and you have to assume, based on your knowledge of where they came from, that maybe they were kept that way on purpose because they knew each other. But they are probably about... the graves for the crystal catcher is probably about 50 years older, 40 to 50 years older than that of the silent hammer. So, but there's no other crystal catcher names, no other silent hammer names, just those 3 that are there.
Okay.
Is there anything other specific things you'd like to do as you look around the grave?
Well, I'm guessing if there's newer graves here, there must be people
nearby.
Yeah, we want to try and find them today.
That would be good for us. Why don't we start heading through here and like in the direction we were going? And I'm assuming you guys start heading back west. And as you walk, you're seeing new graves. You stop, you check them, and everything like that. You're very occupied with the graves themselves and trying to read them. They get more and more recent. There's a couple from like just 5 years ago, 3 years ago. A couple of here and there. A couple of rows might have several families, and like they're all the same last name, so you assume that even though the years are different, like maybe this is a family like area that people have claimed. And as you're looking through these and you're preoccupied with them, you walk out into a clearing, and as you look up, you are in the middle of a funeral. There are several people all standing around in front of what is a clearly very freshly dug grave, and there are a lot of people who are now absolutely staring at you. They're all dressed in dark colors. Not all of them are dressed in black, but they're dressed in what
colors.
Somber colors. Their outfits are worn around the edges. They're all very heavy cloaks and coats and boots, and it looks like they dress in their darkest colors, but their most efficient colors as well. They're like clothes. So there wasn't a huge effort to be made by what they're wearing. But there's probably about 6 or 7 people standing there in front of this grave. There's somebody standing on the other side of it. An elderly gentleman is standing on the other side of the grave, and he looks like he was in the middle of giving a speech.
Oh, jeez. This is a little awkward.
And all of you just kind of stand there, and these people are staring at you, and
we're staring at them.
This old man, he's an older elf man, and he kind of looks at the party, then he just looks back down at the grave, and he picks up where he left off.
As the diplomatic one, I would say we kind of stand here, let the service go through, and then not necessarily mingle, but try not
catch up later.
Yeah, we'll catch up later.
Yeah, and Jaz'Zara like takes a step back, like in closer to the tree line a little, not so that she's hidden, but like so a respectful distance away from this funeral that all of you just waltzed right into unknowingly.
So sorry.
And the elderly gentleman doesn't even look like it fazed him. He just looks. He has his hands crossed in front of him, and you hear like this like deep raspy voice as he says, "Here lies Urgon Winth, an honorable dwarf who explored more of Eiselcross and ventured further into the ruins of Aor than any of us here have ever done before. Our town may be small, but you Urgon made it feel grand with your boisterous personality and the strength of your heart. You will be missed, old friend. And I want everybody to make me a perception check at that point.
15.
15.
Jaz'Zara got a 16. You hear faint, like, a scoff from one of the people as he says that this man who has died will be missed. It's not super loud, but considering nobody else is talking, there's no other noise, it is audible. The elderly gentleman, he doesn't acknowledge it in any way. And as this funeral like comes to a close, a couple of people like stand up, like walk next to the grave. Nobody seems to like say anything, but most people at that point fully just start. They don't care that you're there. Like, they don't want to acknowledge you. But the elderly gentleman, however, does look up and looks directly at all of you, and he's going to start making his way towards you. Anything specific you'd like to do as he approaches you?
Madam Diplomat.
Madam Diplomat, I was trained for this. No, I mean, I'm just gonna stand there with my hands, like, clasped in front of me in a very non-threatening manner.
Okay.
Kind of inviting, just, hi. So sorry to interrupt.
Okay. Yeah, and he like, it takes him a minute. He's kind of slow. He's a very like old elderly man as he walks up to you. And he looks at you and he's like, "Thank you for attending the service. Did you know my friend?"
It was a lovely service, and I am unfortunate to say that we did not know your friend, rest his soul. We
and,
just happened
kind of
upon
looks
here.
You up and down. Like, he looks all of you up and down at that point. You are not from around here, I take it.
No, we are not. We are very new to the surface.
And he kind of like, he really stares at you at this point. And this man he's an elderly man, but he's an elf. You can tell by his pointed ears. It's like he turns, and elves live for a really fucking long time. So you know that this man really must be ancient. Like, he really must be old if he looks this old and is an elf. He wears like some leather armor. It's faded with age and time, and it's worn in quite a few places, but he still holds himself as somebody who has a lot of experience of being out in the environment and in the world and just in life in general. And he looks at you and he says, and like his eyes, they don't narrow or anything like that. He just really focuses on you for a moment as he focuses on your outfits and what you've said. He says, I think you should come with me. I will show you my village. He reaches a hand out to shake your hand.
I would be honored, sir.
I am Elro Aldatar, and I am the founder of Palebank Village, the place you have found yourselves in today.
Greetings, sir. I am Valkaria Nikor, daughter and heiress of the Dragonite Syndicate of the Nameless City. My companions are my two best friends, Asha Kel, Moonweaver, and Jaz'Zara, Talina.
And he nods, and as you say that about like where you're from, like you're the heir of the city, roll me an insight check.
Everybody?
No, just Val.
Okay. What's the P that's next to it on our on our sheets?
That you have an insight. You have a proficiency. That's why your number for that is higher.
Okay. Nope.
What'd you get?
17.
17. Okay. You look at him, and as you say where you're from and everything like that, it doesn't seem to mean anything to him. Like that doesn't register with him at all. Like, there is no recognition in his face whatsoever when you say that, and he just nods at you, but you do think it's more of an acknowledgement of what you said rather than of that having any meaning to you. So he says, "You look like you've journeyed for quite some time, and I bet you could use a warm place to rest."
That would be of the utmost appreciation, sir. I am not accustomed to the cold.
And he chuckles at that. He's like, it's a little chilly today. As he looks around and like all of the snow that's everywhere.
Just today.
Just today. It's all right. You've caught us in a good season.
I can only hope that it gets better from here.
And then like he kind of like pats your shoulder. If you stay and you stick around, you'll find out. And he slowly turns and slowly begins to make his way like out of the graveyard. And do you follow?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now I will follow in line with him, so I'm walking next to him as I'm making conversation and trying to gain more information about where we are, how long the city's been around.
Okay. He says, I founded Palebank many years ago. So long ago, I quit keeping track. Really, I was an adventurer once, and he kind of like stands a little proud, straighter at that. And I adventured all across these tundras. It was fun for a time, but well, the tundra gets to be a bit of a harsh mistress after a while. And like he kind of like pats his leg, which you notice like he has a slight limp to it. And he says, I got tired of the adventuring life, and I eventually decided to settle down and try to build something, and people started to come and join me, and we are a village now of 150 strong.
That's a lovely village, sir. I'm sure that you and my friend Jaz'Zara would have plenty to talk about and compare adventure stories, as she too is an adventurer.
And he turns and he looks at Jaz'Zara, and he nods, and and he looks over like Asha and Jaz'Zara, and he turns his focus back onto you as you're still talking.
I would offer services, sir, to heal the ache in your leg. Asha here is a wonderful healer, and it would be a pleasure as a free, gift, whatever, just because you're being so kind and letting us stay in your village.
And at that, Asha, you can go ahead and roll me an insight check. In fact, both of you can, because you're both watching him at that point, and Jaz'Zara will too.
11.
14.
Okay. Jaz'Zara rolled a natural 20. As she's looking at him, he gets a little more serious when you mention healing capabilities, and he like focuses in on Asha, and he gives her a more thorough regard as he looks at her, and he kind of like nods at you. He doesn't really say anything. He just nods at you, and he's like, I do believe we will have much to discuss. And you've left the graveyard, you've left the forest, and as the trees part, you can see a little ways ahead of you is a collection of these little houses, and they're not very big. They're these little houses. They're made of wood and stone, and it's got a few buildings here and there. There's snow on all of the building tops and everything, and it is very small, but it is quaint looking.
It's by water.
It is town. in the past, in like far past the city, like the village. You can get this sense, the smell of the sea in the air, and just barely you can see docks in the far distance as you get closer and start walking into the city itself. And he points out, we have a decent fishing trade here with the other island across the way. So it's our most profitable trade. There isn't much to trade up here. So, and he kind of chuckles. He's looking around at the handful of buildings that are around you, and
we look forward to tasting all the delicacies of your village.
And he pats you like on the shoulder, and he's like, "You are very clever. I like you." And
I was raised by the best, sir.
And he smiles at you and says, I bet you were, young lady. I bet you were. And you are led to a 2-story inn made of stone. It has very small windows to keep out the cold, and a thatched roof covered in snow like the rest of the little town. Outside is what looks like a clothesline, but instead of laundry hangs several fish. But there's a a laundry line of fish, which definitely look like in multiple levels of frozen. And you do get the impression as you look at them, if it wasn't for the extreme cold, it would smell something truly awful.
Hope we all like herring.
Like there looks like a similar collection of fish that are hanging off there. Elro, he leads you through a pair of heavy oak doors, and as you push them open, you are immediately met with a second set of closed doors. And Elro will turn to you and he says, if you make any kind of like interest noise, the fact that you walk through doors to meet another set of doors, he says, and he says, you can leave your cloaks here. We leave them here, that way they don't get inside of the building proper with any of the snow. And it keeps the heat in. And he pats the very thick wooden doors. And as you hang your cloaks out to dry and everything like that, and maybe tap your boots off from the snow. And as Elro pushes past the second set of doors, you step into a wave of warmth that washes over you. It is
blessed warmth.
So nice. It is so inviting, and it just thaws the thunderous chill from your bones, and for a moment you just stand there and you want to melt, because this is the first warmth you've had in quite some time at this point.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's amazing.
I can feel my fingers.
You start to take
feel
off
my hellfire.
You start to take off gloves and things like that, the extra things you had bundled around yourselves. The inside is an inviting interior of wood and shades of green with plush woven rugs that lay along the floor. And there's a long tap room with a bar on the far right side. Round tables are scattered here and there with a heavy oaken staircase that leads to a second floor off to the left. There's a large fireplace that sits in the center. And there's a few people. There's a person behind the bar. There also seems to be a family of off to the side. But as you enter and you walk into the room, a gray-haired dwarf male who is sat on a stool behind the bar, he greets you cheerfully as you enter. And he's specifically looking at Elro, and he says, "Oh, Elro, how was the funeral?" Again, I am so sorry I couldn't make it. And as he says that, he props his whole ass leg up onto the bar, and you can see where it's bandaged and there's a splint to it. But he's fully just got his foot up there, and he just kind of leans forward to rest his knee on his leg that is now just up there for everybody to see. And Elro chuckles, "Oh, it was quite all right. I found some friends I would love to introduce you to." And then the dwarf just seems to get a little more cheerful and perks up and does put his leg back down. And as you're all walking up there, these two little children run past you, and one of them, Valkaria, runs right into your leg. And as you look down, you notice that these are two tiefling children. And they look up at you, and they're very small. They look like they're about 5 or 6. And one of them, and they're these two little girls, and one of them is blue, and she's got bright golden eyes, and the other one is a very a lilac shade of purple, and she has very deep green eyes, and in very honestly cutesy sounding infernal, which is the language of the depths of hell, which is a harsh sounding language, but the way she talks to you in very broken, cute, childish infernal, it sounds adorable. And she's like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and she tugs on your cloak that you're wearing.
"Hello, little ones. You yourselves are very pretty."
And "You speak infernal," and the other one grabs on the other side of your cloak and starts talking in even more broken infernal. And they're just so excited just to see you, and they just get really excited as they're rapid fire talking with each other in strange but adorable sounding infernal, because they aren't making full sentences, because you get the impression that they don't know enough infernal to make full sentences. But they are just so excited, and they're hanging off of you, and they trade who's tugging on you.
My little forth. Demons, what are your names?
The one that's purple, and she says, "My name is Magic." And she says that in common. You do notice she says that in common. And then the other one, the smaller one, tells you that my name is Honor.
Magic and Honor. What strong names.
Thank you. And then one of them, Honor, she like takes back off, and you see two human men that are sitting over there at the table who are having like tea, and they seem to just be enjoying like a nice meal. She runs up to one of them and like wraps her arms around them, and you hear her say in common like, "Papa, she's like us. She's like us." Papa. And then both of the men turn and they look at you and like they wave, and Magic at this point has run off, and she's like talking to her other parent at that point, and they're just like rapid fire talking. Like it's moved from talking about you, from what you can gather of what they're saying, because it's a mixture of like common and infernal, and just gibberish of young children. It goes from talking about you to talking about a toy to just talking about magic in general, and then just talking about just like rapid fire toys, and then like an adventure, and then suddenly they're playing a game. Childish wonderment starts happening over there, and one of the humans waves at you, and as he's listening to his daughters just go and just keep talking. And Elro chuckles and he says, "Oh, to be young and filled with enjoyment for life." And he says, "Sit down," and he like slams his old withered hand onto the counter, and he's just like, "Have a seat." And he looks at the barkeep and says, "A drink for my new friends, please." And he puts Elro puts a handful of coins on the counter, and he leans a little further on the counter and he says, "And I do believe possibly a place to stay for these young ladies. I do believe they probably could use it."
We very much could.
Jaz'Zara,
very much appreciate it.
Jaz'Zara says, "We would definitely appreciate both the room and any knowledge you had to spare on where we are." And he says, "You are very much not from here."
No.
And he says, "Well, perhaps I can help you, but I have a question." And he looks at Asha and says, "Your lovely friend here," as he gestures to Valkaria, said you had healing capabilities. Is that true?
I do, and I see a potential project for me right now.
And he says, I'm fine. It's aged, and even the best of magics cannot fight that." And he says, "And I've earned each of these scars, I promise you." And he gives you just a mischievous grin as he does it. And he says, "Actually, I wanted to discuss with you, because I do believe you coming to Urgon's funeral is not a coincidence."
Pray tell more.
He was a friend of mine, and he was an old friend of mine, but he was not necessarily as well liked by the rest of the village. And you can see the barkeep just kind of snort just a little bit, and Elro just he ignores it. He doesn't even pay it any attention. And he says, "My friend died because of an illness, but it wasn't a normal illness." He kind of sits back for a moment, and he says, "About 2 months ago, Urgon went exploring Islecross on the main island across the way, and he was there for quite some time. He was gone for about 6 months, which is longer than his expeditions usually last. He tends to come back every other month or so. But when he came back, he was different. His reactions were slower. He moved a lot slower. It was quite strange. And eventually, he started to turn shades of blue, and he wouldn't talk to me about it until right towards the end. And I went to visit him, and I found out he had been infected with something while he was in Islecross that was slowly freezing him to death from the inside out. He slowly froze and turned into a block of ice. It wasn't like someone who had just been left out into the elements to freeze. He froze solidly, and we had healers come the village healers that we don't have much, but they tried and they couldn't find anything to do. No amount of putting him in front of a fire, feeding him hot drinks or soups or anything seemed to help. We even called for healers across the way to the island across from us, and no one could do anything to slow it down, to stop it. And eventually he froze to death and died.
Oh, how terrible.
Have you heard of anything like this, Asha? Any of your readings?
You can make a medicine check if you'd like.
Let me do that. 15.
So this is not an illness that you've heard of, but you know that it sounds magical in nature. This is definitely not something that's natural. It is a strange occurrence that could only be brought on by some type of magic. You wouldn't know really what kind of magic, but you assume that if they couldn't heal it through natural ways, it was probably powerful magic at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Did he describe the nature of what he came into contact with in any way?
Well, we assumed that it had to do with something he encountered while he was exploring the ruins of Aeor.
Eeyore.
Yeah, like the ruins of the 100-acre woods.
Yes, this is all original content, people.
Of course, we're going on an adventure to save Pooh Bear.
The bear deserves to be saved. Pants or no.
And it is spelled Aeor.
Perfect. Thank you.
He came across quite a few things. He brought some things back with him as well. Nothing that I particularly saw. Anything he found, he either traded, sold, or kept to himself. He didn't show anything off very often. But until recently, we assumed that whatever he encountered was just inflicted with him, and it was an isolated incident. Until, unfortunately, about 2 days ago. And I saw another villager who I believe is also infected. She refused to speak to me about it, and refused to speak to me much at all, really. But she was starting to show the same signs of the illness that he had before he passed.
Did she...
is she still alive?
Yeah,
do you know?
I saw her yesterday, but she's been held up at home in her cabin for quite some time. And she refuses to come out. I was going to go check on her tomorrow. And he looks like kind of like at the windows, and you can see like it's getting dark at this point. It might be best to check on her tomorrow. But her name is Tulgi, Tulgi, Lutan.
Do you know if she came into contact with any of the items that he brought back? Or is there a way to track any of the items that he brought back?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I wasn't aware that they knew each other. Or I mean, everybody in Palebank knows one another. There's only 150 of us after all. But I had not heard of any such interactions. You're welcome to inspect his cabin if you would like. There's nobody there. One of the rangers for the village could take you there if you'd like to explore it. But if it isn't affecting people, I would like to know what it is that is doing it before it becomes a much larger problem.
How about this? How about tomorrow when you go to visit Tulgi? Asha and I will accompany you, and Jaz'Zara will meet with your ranger and inspect his house, because she's our weapons expert. She knows it all.
Well, it might not be a weapon. He didn't often bring back weapons. He brought back relics and trinkets and magical Aeor, as you well know, and you probably don't. It was an extraordinarily magical city before it crashed into the earth.
Then I would say we would need...
I could go and see Tulgi first, and then then we could all go and check the house for anything, if it's any relics that...
I would say that would be best, because between you and Jazz and your knowledge of the history, we'd probably figure out what's in that house.
All right, I would appreciate any aid you could give. perhaps after we figure this out, you said that you weren't from the surface earlier, I
That is
believe?
correct.
You're from the Underdark.
Yes, we are.
It has been
We have escaped some horrors. We are in search of an army to bring back because our city is currently under attack.
And he takes that very seriously when you say that. Like, he, as a leader of his own people, like, he can understand, like, the weight of such a thing. And he looks at you, and he is a little saddened as he says to you, he says, I wish we had an army to lend, but I'm afraid you will not find an army here.
I will take friends.
And he says, well, we have plenty of those. And he looks at Jaz'Zara, and he says, honestly, I thought you might be here for Urgon's funeral, considering, and he gestures at Jaz'Zara, and he says, I figured you were from the outpost. And Jaz'Zara kind of like looks at him and is just like, what outpost do you mean? It's like, oh, the across the sea on the main island of Eiselcross. He says, that's where the Jorhassian outpost, their research center is. I figured you were from there. And he gestures at her, and you can tell he's gesturing at her drowness, her drow appearance. He says, I figured perhaps you were all one of the scouting parties there that maybe had encountered him as he had explored the area. And Jaz'Zara kind of like tilts her head and is like, do you mean there are drow here on the surface? He says, yes, quite a few, I would say, maybe 20 or 30 or so, the last I heard. But they have an outpost on the island across the way, as they are one of the excavating parties, one of the interested excavating parties that are exploring the ruins of Aeor. And Jaz'Zara kind of like looks at both of you and like finds that very interesting, and it's just like, I wasn't aware of any drow that lived on the surface, but perhaps it would be a good place to explore and look for support. And she looks at Valkaria later.
After our healing and researching, I think a trip to the island is in order.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. And he says, well, seeing as how you ladies seem to not know much of the surface world, I don't, and he thinks for a moment, he says, I don't have a map on hand, but we have a map maker here. And I said, I will get one to craft one for you. It might take a few days, but I figured perhaps by the time you figure all of this unfortunate mess out, it will be done, and I could impart that as a gift from me to you.
You are very kind, sir.
And he smiles at that, and he takes the rest of his drink and he drinks it, and he reaches over and he pats the bartender on the shoulder, and he says, I do believe we've all had enough adventure for one day. He says, enjoy your rooms, lady, they are on me. And he smiles, and he says, I will be back tomorrow. I do have some business to attend to at the docks, but if I am not here by, let's say, and he pauses for a significantly long amount of time, says, before 11, then one of my rangers will escort you where you need to go.
Thank you, sir. We will see you tomorrow morning at 11.
And he gets up and he makes a very slow trudge to the doors, and he leaves. And you are provided with hot, warm meals, and the first you've had in a couple of days. And the first you've had in at least a week, because you did spend several days in a boat. Yeah. So it is warm, it is inviting, it's delicious in all honesty. And is there anything you would like to do this evening?
First, I like to cheers to my lovely friends.
Okay. Jaz'Zara will grab her drink and cheers with you.
And I would like to whisper so that the bartender can't hear me.
Okay.
But, do y'all think they're being too nice?
I mean, I've never met other people but ours, so like I can't really say I can
I
judge
don't know.
too well.
He seemed genuine enough.
I
want to believe he is, but there's
how about this? As a measure of good faith from us to them.
Mm-hmm.
Heal the bar hop's leg.
Well, we can absolutely do that. That's no problem for me.
And bar hop! Jaz'Zara will, before, as Valkaria yells out, but Jaz'Zara will lean in to Asha and says, I think being wary is a good idea. I said, we don't know what the surface is like. We don't know what these people are like. But for as long as their generosity lasts, I think we should take it. But we will keep an eye on everything, just in case. We don't want to go from one frying pan into another.
Sure
and as Valkaria yells for the bartender, he turns and says, I have not moved, young lady. What do you want? And he puts his leg back up on the table and says, I can't move, can't you tell? And he doesn't.
Bar hop, that is exactly what I want to see right now. My dear friend
and he rubs his leg up and down. He's like, you like looking at the goods, don't you, darling?
I like seeing the wound, sir.
Yeah, a little, he gives me like a weird look, and it's just like,
A little bloodletting for me does the trick.
What happened to a gesture of goodwill?
Oh, we're getting there.
Make it creepy.
My dear friend here is going to heal that leg up for you, and you'll be spick and span in a couple hours.
And he looks at you and says, I got bit by a winter wolf, you know. It was a biggin, a huge one, but I fought it off with my bare hands, you see.
You brave bar hop.
Oh, and he says you should have seen it. There was at least 10 of them. And then one of the human men that's sitting with his family says, yesterday it was 5. And he says, no, I assure you there was 12 of them, and they were vicious, and they were as big as trolls.
Shh. Let him tell his tale. We'll get free food.
And the human men they're laughing, and like as they listen to his story, he's like, they're as big as trolls, teeth as long as my arm, and he holds his arm like right up in your face, and he says that all 15 of them ran when they saw me.
More and more.
It's like, but I got out with this wound, and I can honestly say that I defeated the winter wolves of Isilcross.
I'm sure they will tell your story for generations to come.
And he says, aye, they will. And he takes a mug of ale and he slams it down in front of you, and some of it splashes all over. He says, another round for you, dearie. And yeah, there is definitely more of it on the counter at this point than there is in the cup. And as he gives you one, he takes another much larger like mug of ale, and he downs all of it in one go. And you think maybe the fact that he can't move has resulted in like some seriously bored dwarf that is just sitting here drinking his way through his own bar.
Asha, please heal this man's leg so he doesn't destroy the place.
And he's sitting on a very tall but precarious looking stool, and like with his leg up there, it's slightly out of balance, and he wildly gestures as he tells his story. Like he teeters a little bit here and there, but it doesn't cheer him for an instant. And Asha, are you gonna cast the spell on this boisterous man? What spell are you gonna cast?
The healing one. The healing word. Will that do it? Will that work this one?
Yeah, so go ahead and cast healing word. So you are going to roll 1d4 and then add 3.
Okay. 4. And add 4. 8.
8. And so you put your hands over his leg. You don't actually touch him because you're just like, no. But you put your hands over
I can do it from a distance. It's fine.
And this
works better this way.
This bright, blue magic comes from your hands, and your hands glow, and then the magic, as it builds in your hands, just pushes down into his leg, and his whole leg glows this bright blue in a flash for a moment, and then it goes away. And this man is partially drunk, very boisterous, and he's telling a tale, and he quits, and he stares at his leg, and he's like, by the gods, and he grabs his own leg, his pant leg with his hand, and he pulls his leg up. He's like, oh. And then, like, he like, tears the bandages off and everything, and he pulls his whole pant leg up, and he's, like, looking at his very freshly, like, healed skin and everything like that. But his leg, his now bare leg, is, like, right, like, up over the bar and kind of, like, in your face. He's like, oh, look at this! I am a jolly dwarf once more! And he's like, you young ladies are always welcome here! And he slams more mugs on the table. He's like, welcome to the jolly dwarf! And you have made me a jolly dwarf once more. And he has now permanently, like, rolled his pant leg up and is just kind of, like, walking around the bar, just kind of, like, doing showing it off. Yeah, and, like, kind of, like, just showing it off. And he goes up to the, like, to the human couple, and he's, like, showing off. It's like, do you see this? She's a miracle, I tell you, a miracle. And he starts to dance and everything. He's having a great time. He's having a really great time.
And I just can't help myself, and I say, don't use the same rag to wipe down the bar as your leg again.
He's fully not listening to you. He is now on a table, and he is, like, doing a dance and everything. It's like, I think she's taken 10 years away. Oh, I feel excellent. I feel like I was a young dwarf. And let me tell you, I could fight another 20 wolves at this rate.
Bar hop, please no fighting for at least a week.
He's like, I can't promise you anything, young one. I can't promise you. You want to go? And he, like, starts putting his hands up. And as he's doing that, he, like, takes a step forward. He fully just slips on the table and lands back first on that table. And there's a pregnant pause as he just lays there on the table, where he sits up and he says, hi! There's a cure for that, and it's no magic. And he goes back behind the bar and he drinks another ale.
And the whole bar goes, ah!
Yeah, and
I like it here.
As he's having a great time, one of the human men who are the parents of the little tiefling girls that you saw come, like, they wave you over and ask if you want to join them as they have dinner. So, would you like to have dinner with us? Oh, saviors of the jolly dwarf.
We'd be honored.
And you sit down, and there are two human men, about middle-aged. One has brown hair, the other one's kind of like a dirty blonde color. They're dressed well. You get the impression of, like, merchants based on their clothes. There's no, like, armor or weapons or anything on them. And one of them reaches out his hand to introduce himself. He says, I'm Irving, and this is my husband, Fenton, and you've, of course, met our daughters, Honor and Magic. And the girls at this point are off dancing with the barkeep, and they're all just having a really good time. So, did I hear correctly from Elro? Are you not from the surface world?
We are not. We are from the Underdark.
Oh, and they both look very surprised, but, like, not, like, they're not afraid of that or anything like that. They just look surprised and said, well, Halebank is an interesting place to start your journey, I must say. An exposure into the surface world. I promise, it's not all snow.
That is news that I like to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you just happen to find yourselves in a very northern point of the continent. And Jaz'Zara kind of leans over and is like, where exactly would that be? Like, where are we?
Where are we?
And the Fenton, the other one, the dirty-haired blonde one, he says, you're in the graying wildlands of Islecross. So we are at the northernmost adjacent point of Wildmount, the continent. And you've heard of Wildmount. You were aware that you were on Wildmount because that was the name of the continent, like, before, like, the calamity and everything like that. The rest of those words are pretty new to you. And Fenton, like, kind of, like, gets out a piece of paper and he says, like, he draws a very loose regard for what the continent looks like. And in the very, like, top upper left-hand corner, like, he puts a little dot and he says, this is technically where we are. And then he draws, like, a decent-sized island just northwest off the coast, and he says, and this is the main area of Islecross. The place Elro was talking to you guys about where Urgon had been going. So he says, to get there, you do have to go across the sea. And Jaz'Zara leans over and says, is that where the drow outpost is? And Irving looks at us like, oh, yes, the It's one of several outposts that are there. The Jorhasians have one, which would be the Drow, and he gestures at Jaz'Zara. He says there's the Dwendalian Empire also has one as well. And they share a look at that. Like you watch them share like a meaningful look, and they look at you and said, though, and they look over all three of you, and Fenton says, I don't recommend taking an adventure to the Dwendalian Empire outpost.
Alrighty, any particular reason
why?
What we should avoid?
The other outpost is that of Jorhas. And in Wildmount, there are three main divisions. One of which is the Dwendalian Empire, which owns quite a bit of the main continent. And to the east is Jorhas. And for quite some time now, the two countries have been in a silent but unfortunate feud with one another. And though Jorhas and the Menagerie Coast to the southwest have a variety of peoples, the ones of Jorhas are much more like yourselves, and he gestures to the nature of all three of you in the form of Drow, Tiefling, and Damphir, and says the Dwendalian Empire is much less welcoming to those who are not them.
I see.
Alrighty then.
And Irving will look at you and he says, if you don't cause trouble, they don't usually cause you trouble, but unfortunately, you do all look like you walked out of Jorhas. And at this point in time, it's not a great thing. And they may stare at you or distrust you more on principle than on anything else.
Is it the clothes, or is it just my face?
And he looks at Jaz'Zara and he says, Jorhas is a nation led by a Drow society. And Jaz'Zara looks very surprised at that, because you are aware that, and she was very surprised at the idea of Drow on the surface too, because you are aware that full-blooded Drow have severe sunlight sensitivity. Like they have a very hard time seeing in sunlight. And Fenton adds to say, the Dwendalian Empire is very human-based, along with a smattering of other people here and there, of course. But the human monarchy of the Dwendalian Empire doesn't particularly play nice with those who are not like them. And you watch him, like, out of the corner of his eye, like, glance at his daughters. That that two male humans aren't exactly around giving birth to two tiefling daughters.
Mm-hmm. By the way, which coloring was which for the daughters? Magic was what color and Honor was what color?
Honor is blue and Magic is purple. She's like a lilac color.
Purple, green eyes, blue, yellow eyes. Okay, thank you.
And so he says, I don't think they would give you any trouble by nature, but you may face more questions than you would prefer should you get yourselves into any kind of trouble. Just, and he kind of leans forward, like, I would avoid the largest cities if I was you. And, but for now, you're up here, and nobody bothers to do anything up here. So, and he, like, gestures at the snow outside through the window. He's like, and you can see why.
And, yes, the biting cold is not welcoming to most.
Yeah, and he laughs and he says, I'm from the south. I definitely understand your pain. And you guys, like, you start eating, like, dinner, like, hot food is brought to you. In the middle of, like, all of the dancing, the barkeep does, in fact, bring you, like really nice hot meals and everything. And the food is surprisingly delicious, and you're not sure. Exactly. You're not sure so much whether or not it's from the fact that you haven't eaten a hot meal in quite a while, or if it's just really good food. And as everybody gathers for dinner, like the two little girls, they come and sit at the table, and they make the exact same eating noise that Valkaria does, but in a much higher pitch, and it sounds very like, nom, 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 nom. It's really cute, and it's adorable, and And you notice them like watching Valkaria, and like they start to mimic the things that she's doing, and they clearly just think she's the coolest thing on the planet.
Try and behave. You have an audience.
I don't have an audience. I have a following.
Yeah. You have a fan club.
I do.
And you can see as she's talking to you, like the little girls are like mimicking like gestures and hand movements that Valkaria is doing at the same time.
Oh, I can mold them.
Just let their fathers mold them.
And Jaz'Zara will lean over. She's like, and I'm assuming you guys are saying this in Undercommon and not.
Oh yeah.
Jaz'Zara in Undercommon will look at you and says, "We are literally sitting at a table with our fathers. Like, let's not mention a following of some sort." And
great.
Is there anything else you'd like to do before you go to a very nice warm bed for the evening?
Oh no, that bed is calling me.
Hang on. What's the thing that I have that I can...
She wants to make magic to impress her children.
I want to entertain them. Hang on.
Okay. Well, you've got cantrips that you can do at will, and you won't use any spell slots or anything. You've got like thaumaturgy, minor illusion, message, mage hand, and chill touch.
I'm gonna do minor illusion and like just kind of have things like float around.
As soon as you start doing magic, those kids just lose their fucking minds. Like, they just screech, and then they're running over you, and then they're, like, making the hand gestures, too. And they're just having a great time. They're trying to cast magic. They look at Asha, and they just, like, kind of do, like a mage pose you're doing, and trying to, like, cast magic at Asha. And their fathers, and, like, at some point they have spoons, and, like, they're waving them around as wands, and, like, just the more magic you do, the more like they try to intimidate you before it just dissolves into them just wildly waving spoons everywhere. Like you minor illusion like a maybe like a little animal or something like that, and then maybe like you use thaumaturgy to make like magic sparks come, and then mage hand to like lift something from really far away from you and bring it to you, and they just have the best time. You guys spend hours here just talking and enjoying it and having a good time, and just really just having probably the happiest time you've had in at least a little while. So it feels really good just to be happy again.
I like it.
Yeah. And then you go to bed for the evening, and do you guys want to go all in like one room, because there's a couple of rooms that have like double beds, and like two people like have to share, and then somebody gets the other one, or do you want each individual room?
I would say for safety's sake we all stay in the same room.
Okay.
Because we don't know where we are, and even though everyone is very welcoming and friendly, we're outsiders.
Jaz'Zara will agree with you. She says, I do agree. I think we should stay together. We, as nice as these people are, like Asha said earlier, we don't know anything about them, and I'm not really inclined to trust any of them.
Fully,
yeah. So I think it's a good idea. And as you guys go in your room, it's a decent room. Like, it's not a 5-star anything, but it's better than sleeping in the snow outside. And
it'll do the job. It's warm.
Yeah,
and it's enclosed.
There's a fireplace in it and everything, like, and it's going, and like it makes the room nice and warm. And as you guys like are getting settled in, Jaz'Zara is going to cast magic, and she's going to cast the alarm spell. And she takes this spool of string, and she ties it on one end of the room, and she goes around, and as she places, like, she takes the string and she taps it into different corners of the room, and as she goes from one point to the other, you can see the string hold itself taut, even though it's not tied to anything. And she's casting the spell, and she says it's an alarm spell. If anybody except for us passes through where this string is, it will alert all of us with a noise. So if anybody comes sneaking in through our door in the middle of the night, we'll hear them.
Jazz, always looking out for us.
She looks at you and she's like, I'm a paranoid bitch at the very least.
Works for me.
See, like, you bed down for the night, you lay in a real bed, and it's warm, and it's toasty, and it's good.
Oh, it's
really
down.
Good. It feels very nice, and you're just like, oh, and you just snuggle in a little bit, and you're just like, oh, this feels good. This feels cuddly and warm, and it's really, really nice.
Really? It's been 10 minutes! Saw my opportunity, had to take it.
So you get a lovely, wonderful night's rest for once. And it's warm and it's delightful. You don't have any issues through the night. You don't have to keep a watch. You just all cozy into bed and enjoy the warmth of it. You wake up in the morning refreshed. You feel good. First time you felt really good in quite some time at this point. How would you like to start your morning?
What time is it?
It's pretty early. It's probably about 8.
Alright. Got about 3 hours, so we meet Elro. I say...
I'm pretty sure there's breakfast. I can smell something cooking.
Breakfast for sure.
Alright, so you guys gonna go downstairs. You go get breakfast. You go downstairs to get breakfast, and the same barkeep is at the bar. You knew he drank a lot last night, like just a ridiculous amount of alcohol last night. Doesn't seem to have fazed him at all. He's good. He just smiles at you, and you get the impression that the tavern is called the Jolly Dwarf for a reason. And he is
nothing can dim his shine.
Nope.
Exactly. And he seems to be having a good time. He looks at you and says, breakfast, and
breakfast and a bottle of ale.
And and he looks at you. It's like, see, you and I. And he points at himself and you back and forth. Like, and he runs back into the kitchen. And a few minutes later, he comes out with these very large plates full of, they're full of food. It's an interesting collection of fish and some herbs and some plants that you've never really seen before, and that you think probably grow up here in this tundra. There's some fresh berries and stuff that's on there too, but it's good. It's warm. It's not like it's the best meal you've ever had, but it is a good way to start your day. And as you're sitting there and you're eating, you have a chance, if you want to, you can get cleaned up. There is a communal bathroom for the rooms upstairs that you can go and you can use to bathe and anything else you'd like to do in the morning.
We'll definitely be taking that opportunity.
I'm definitely bathing.
Yep, and Jaz'Zara absolutely does too. You guys take turns. You go get cleaned up and everything. You get yourself sorted out. When Jaz'Zara comes back downstairs, she's gonna ask the barkeep. She says, "Is there a store, perhaps, that we could purchase goods, supplies, really?" He says, yes. Well, maybe. And he says, that's that would be Telgi's store. And well, I guess you'll find out if you can buy anything later. And she says that's fair. And as you've gotten cleaned up, at this point I'll say it's probably about 10. And this young woman, this young elven woman comes through the door as you're all sitting at the bar, killing a little bit of time at that point, getting, organizing your stuff, really taking account of what you have. And she comes in, and she's dressed in what looks almost like a uniform. It looks very similar to Elro's uniform, but it's much newer looking, and it's much more well kept, and it's clearly has not seen the wear and tear of age that his has. And she's got long brown hair that's pulled back in a very intricate elven braid, just part of it, and the rest of it's down. She has a very nice wooden bow on her back and a quiver of arrows, and she makes a beeline right over to all of you. She says, well, I would ask if you were the newcomers, but really this village only has 150 people, so you have to be.
What gave it away?
It was definitely the shoes. Yeah, definitely the shoes. And
I'm sure you don't see many of our shoes from the Underdark make it to the surface.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mm-hmm.
And she tilts her head a little bit, but she'd been told that you guys were from the Underdark, and
you guys are kind of weird.
Yeah, that too. And she says, "Well, my name is Mila. Mila Tenno, if you're into formal things like that." And she offers to shake your hand if you want to. She says, "Well, Elro sent me to get all of you. He's dealing with an issue on the docks because currently 2 of our fishermen are in a very heated debate on whether or not one of them caught a legendary sea eel. I think it's a fish, but he's certain he's caught the fish of legends. And and he's currently arguing with his neighbor over the rights to said mythical eel, as they were both fishing for it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure Elro will set it to rights.
So he's going to be tangled in that for a little while, dealing with that nonsense. But he said that he should be done a little later today, and in the meantime, I can take you guys to Urgon's cabin, and by the time you guys get done investigating that, hopefully he'll be done, and he can go introduce you to Telgi.
All right.
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, and she like kind of, and she smiles, and she's clearly very young and a little like green around the edges of like her job and everything, and she's got like a little pep in her step. She's just excited to have something to, an official order of something to do. And Jaz'Zara, as you guys like walk out to where she's leading you to the cabin, Jaz'Zara asks her how long. She's like, how long have you been working for Elro? And the Mila, she's just like, oh well, I came of age not that long ago, just this past winter actually, and so I've been in training, and technically you guys are my first like real actual assignment, especially dealing with people outside of the village. And she's like, and I really just want to do a good job. And she seems really happy.
You'll be an excellent ranger. And I will say to Jaz'Zara in Undercommon, you take lead.
And Jaz'Zara nods at you, like she gives you that look, and she nods, and she stands and she walks like next to Mila as they're walking, and Jaz'Zara like keeps an eye like out of her, because Jaz'Zara is scanning around to like make sure nothing's coming up and around everybody. Mila is not. She is just. She's having a good time. She's talking. She's like pointing out some buildings as you guys are going. Like, and she's just keeping up chatter, like asking you guys questions of like, what's it like in the Underdark? Like, how long have you been on the surface? Like, what do you think of like the sky? And just really,
where are you visiting us from?
Yeah, just she's having a good time. Like, but Jaz'Zara is very like focused. I'll have Jaz'Zara roll a perception check.
Jaz'Zara's all about the. I really don't want to get attacked by anything.
Yeah, Jaz'Zara, like, any answer she has is kind of, like, off-handed as she's more focused on everything. And Mila, not perturbed at all as you guys walk. And she brings you to this cabin. It's a one-story, one-room log cabin on the edge of town. So this is Urgon's cabin. It's a one-story, one-room building. There's a little wheelbarrow outside. There's a lot of, like, densely packed snow on the roof. It looks more dilapidated than it does anything else. There's some like dead trees and things around it. The stairs that lead up to like this little rickety looking red door are like, they look aged and well worn, but not well taken care of at the same time. And Mila leads you up to it, and she's like, you guys can have the run of the place, look and do whatever you want. It's not like anybody lives here now. And Jaz'Zara like kind of looks at her and just like and like she's innocently disrespectful. Like she didn't mean it like as an insult towards the fact that somebody died here. She's just innocently just doesn't understand the fact that she just said something really rude to somebody who has passed away. And Jaz'Zara like kind of gives her like a side eye, and she says, do you mind if we go in? And Mila's like, oh yeah, you guys can do what you want. And she's like, I'll just wait out here. And she just like sits herself on the stairs, and she's like, just let me know if you have any problems.
Well, this should be great. All set in Underdark.
Yeah.
Undercommon, sorry. Now, what is an Arcana check?
An Arcana check is a magic check.
Can I roll an Arcana check? Which one of us has the most magic? I know I have the most magic in me, but like, which one of us has the better shot of like detecting magic?
You.
Me. Okay. Can
I roll none of you have detect magic as a spell, but you can roll an Arcana check to look for magic if you would like.
All right. So as we enter, or like right before we enter, we open the door, and I want to roll an Arcana check to see if there's any lingering magic here that could give us a hint as to what possibly happened to this dude.
Okay. Before you like go to open the door, like as you like reach for the door, Jaz'Zara like she's like stops you, and she says, "Is the door?" And she looks back at Mila and she says, "Is the door locked?" And Mila says, "No. Why would we lock it?" And Jaz'Zara looks at her and she says, well, so that if there is something that's causing the illness, other people
Can't
won't
get
go in
out.
and get it. And Mila's like, oh, that probably would be a good idea. We should lock it after we leave.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaz'Zara is just like, yep, okay, cool. And and Jaz'Zara looks at Valkaria and says, let me go first. And
have at it.
Jaz'Zara is going to check for traps on the door is what she's gonna do, because she don't trust shit. So she gets a 10. She doesn't see anything on the door. She doesn't, like, she looks like at the seams and everything. It doesn't seem to be any problems, but she turns the handle and pushes the door in, and sure enough, it is not locked. And she just opens the door into a very messy space. And this is a for the record, the images that I am showing you, I did make these.
Nice.
On what?
I used the Sims game. Actually.
I was gonna ask if it was a Sims one. No,
Like,
it's cute.
I love it.
I like to build in the
it.
Sims, so I'm like, well, I was having a hard time finding a building that actually looked like what the dimensions are for this thing are for, and I'm just like, I can't find them, so I'm just gonna make one. So I did, and but so you open the door, and there's this one room cabin, and there's a large fireplace on one wall. The place, immediately your first impression is it looks trashed. It absolutely looks trashed. There's a bookcase on the far wall near a wood-burning stove, and there's like some surface, like counter surface. There's another broken-looking bookcase to the side. There's cobwebs. There's like trash everywhere. It doesn't look great. This is a aerial view of it, if that makes it a little easier. With this part over here being the door. But everybody can make me investigation checks if you would like to start looking around the room. And as you go to like look around, Jaz'Zara says, try not to touch anything with your bare hands.
16. Oh goody, I can just poke things with my quarterstaff like I like to do.
14.
14, okay. And Val, you wanted to make an Arcana check to look for magic. Okay, go ahead and do that for me.
19.
19, okay. You're looking around, and the main thing everybody notices is the fact that the room, it looks like somebody has been here before you. And it looks like somebody trashed.
It's been ransacked.
Yeah, it looks like somebody really trashed the place. It doesn't look great. It looks like, it makes you wonder who was here and why, because they didn't seem to have taken anything of value. You do find like some equipment for like adventuring equipment. There's like a set of armor that's hanging around. It's really dented, but it is still functional armor. There's different pieces of like tools and like traveling supplies and like cloaks and stuff like that. So if anybody's trying to take something of value, they didn't seem to do that. So you get the impression they were looking for something specific. There's also this weird, above the fireplace, a large mounted head on the fireplace of a creature you've never seen. If you guys are interested in trying to figure out what it is, one of you can roll me a nature check. If not, or both of you can roll me a nature check.
14.
Nature check.
Yeah.
5.
You don't recognize it. It looks like a very large animal with like white fur, and it looks very angry, very large, and very violent. It's got like horns and everything coming out of it, and it is the head alone is like several feet across. It's massive, and it's definitely something you get the impression you don't want to encounter.
Yeah, no.
But neither of you knows specifically what it is. As you dig around, Asha, as you're digging through some of the stuff, you find some like fur-lined cloak, a set of traveler's clothes that also have a nice like fur lining in it. They are sized for a dwarf, not a regular like person of your guys' height. You find a grappling hook, a hooded lantern, a silvered maul and a dented suit of armor for a dwarf. So, Jaz'Zara
Think it'd fit me?
Jaz'Zara kind of leans over and she says, because Mila is outside, but she says in Undercommon, she says, not particularly interested in raiding the things of a dead man, but if you find some valuable things we can tuck away, might not be the worst idea considering we don't currently have a way to make any money on this plane of existence. So
Jazz, you are against raiding? I'm shocked.
I'm just saying, don't let them
She
see
only
when you
raids
There
in
you
an
go.
honest card of games. Game of cards. Oh my god.
An honest card of games. There is nothing honest about what this girl plays in the taverns.
And Jaz'Zara smiles and she's like, oh, you ain't wrong about that. But just if you take things,
don't get caught.
Yeah, don't get caught. And she gestures to the suit of armor, and she's like, cause it's a breastplate specifically, and she says it's small enough that if you took the front part and the back part off, you could stick it in a piece in each of our bags, and nobody would notice. So, are you guys interested in taking any of the things?
I'll probably take some small.
Yes, yeah. He's dead. What does he care?
Okay. So there's a silvered maul. There's the breastplate. There's a fur-lined cloak and traveler's clothes, a grappling hook, and a hooded lantern. What, if any of that, do you want to take?
I think the cloak could at least be a blanket if,
Okay.
even if it don't fit. Or it's shoulder wrap.
What's the maul?
It's a silvered maul. So you look at it. Give me an investigation check.
3.
Okay. You look at it. You don't really know a whole lot about it because you don't usually do anything with mauls. But you assume that if it's anything you can use, you could probably sell it. You can't really gauge for how much, but you might be able to sell it at like a future town you guys go to.
Mm-hmm. Let me look at it real quick.
Sure.
Take it.
Let's see. Alright, we've got... This one was up, so the dot is...
It's 9.
Yeah. Okay. My 6 and 9 have a dot. 9, and then investigation, that's a 12.
Okay. You think you could fetch probably a fair amount of gold for this, maybe like 10 gold for it, which is enough to get you a room at an inn for a night. So it would definitely be something worth taking.
Put it in your bag, Jazz.
Okay.
This one's a good one.
Jazz will take the maul. Asha, you have the cloak. And
I'll take the lantern.
You take the lantern? Okay.
The lantern.
Are you guys taking the armor? The breastplate?
I
feel like if anybody knew him, they'd be looking for his armor.
I want to leave the armor behind. Like, things that are not so common, like, that are more common lying around, I'll take.
Okay.
Probably not our perfect decision, but if I get caught, I just want to be like, I'm cold.
There you go. Shaking the hooded lantern, and Jaz'Zara's going to grab the grappling hook as well. She's like, I bet you I can attach this to an arrow. She's like, I don't know if I can, but I'm going to give it a shot. Okay. So, Asha, you can write down the fur cloak, and Val, you can write down the hooded lantern. And we're taking them all, but who wants to carry them all? Do you want me to, Jaz'Zara, to carry them all?
Sure.
It'll fit in her quiver, so that
cool.
We can put it in there. Where
right, the quiver that is endless.
Yes.
Yeah, we can put it in the quiver of the endlessness. Now, Val, you were looking for something magical, and as you're looking around and you're digging through some stuff, you're trying not to touch it. You're using your quarterstaff mostly to push things around and push things over. And as you're pushing through the shelves and you kind of pull some of the books aside, and a little slip of paper falls out, and what catches your attention to it is that the ink on it shimmers a little unnaturally. And so there's this little slip of paper that falls out. What you gonna do with it?
I'm gonna investigate it.
Okay.
For sure.
So are you gonna pick it up, or what you gonna do with it? Or do you want to look at it while it's on the ground, or?
I am gonna pick it up with my my mage hand?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up with my mage hand, so I'm not directly touching it.
Okay.
So we can all gather around it and take a look at it.
Okay. Give me an investigate check then, please.
17.
Okay. You're holding it up, and as you're holding it up, and like you kind of hold it up to the light of one of the like the candles that's on the wall. You can see that the ink on it is like shimmery, and it gives us like this faint like little magical essence to it. And as you're staring at it, you realize that like the magic in it is kind of like a binding contract kind of a thing, because what it is a receipt. And so like it's a magical ink that is used in receipts, because you guys use this in the Nameless City. You use magical ink that won't fade or wash away, so that like if somebody tries to steal something or return something falsely, like the magical ink cannot be tampered with or changed, and you can't make false receipts. And all of the receipts in the Nameless City are made with this ink, so you get the impression that maybe that's something they do here on the surface as well.
Okay.
It is a folded receipt, and it's dated 2 months prior. And on it, you can see that it says that Ergon sold items here in town of things that he found in Islecross to a place called Pelk's Curiosity. That's Pelc. He sold these items for 1,000 gold, which definitely indicates to you that holy shit, whatever he found was worth a fuck ton of money. Like, there's no way, if he has 1,000 gold, he should be living in this shack. Like, that's insane. Like, he has a bunch of dented armor and like trash stuff, and yet he had 1,000 gold. But you also do you share this information with the group?
Yes.
Jaz'Zara kind of looks at you and she says, "Okay, he's dead. Where's the gold?
Any floorboards look loose?"
You can look around. You can do from what the investigation check you had, you didn't find any like weird hidden things. But if you want to specifically look for floorboards, you can give me another investigation check.
Now I have a question for the ink that is used in the receipts and
15.
Buying stuff, whatever that we use in the Underdark.
Yeah.
Is that magic ink specific to the Underdark? Like, have we ever heard of them using it up on the surface?
It's a very, that it's a very simple, common thing, that magical ink, is very common. You wouldn't assume that it was Underdark specific. You would assume that anybody who can, like, when you guys were in the Winter Festival, you were infusing crystals with magic to light them up so that they glowed. You know that anybody who can, like, has enough magical control to, like, do that can infuse magic into small objects and things like that. Sometimes you can make it glow. Any basic person with magic can make magical ink that won't fade. So you wouldn't assume it was Underdark specific.
Okay. Is there, if I was to like check the magic that's imbued in this receipt, would I be able to get like an essence of like where it came from? Good magic, bad magic, a spell, a curse?
You can give me another Arcana check for that. 6. You get the sense from the magic. You don't get any good or bad vibes off of it. It's a very neutral thing. Like, the ink doesn't give off any type of specific magic. It really just gives you the understanding of like, this is an extremely low level of like magic imbuement that somebody did specifically just to make sure that the ink didn't fade, and you get the impression it's something very common. So on the receipt it does list items, because at the top it says like sold to Pelk's Curiosity by, like, and it has like Ergon's name written on it, and it lists a dagger, a scroll case, a jade statue, a quiver of 20 arrows, a silver ring set with a jasper stone, and 2 blue glass vials.
Okay. And all this for 1,000 gold.
And
All right.
Jaz'Zara looks over and she says, well, Jade's statue's got to be worth a decent amount of money, and that ring must have too. Can't imagine you got much out of the arrows, but still. I wonder if you found all of that in Aor, or wherever the hell that is.
It might be time consuming. It will be time consuming, but I think it would be a good idea if we can somehow track down these items.
That's probably a good idea, because if these are from that place that he went to, wherever he got the illness, or maybe one of these things is what caused the illness.
It could be a link. It could be a hint to something, a clue. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think it's worth looking into.
We should ask about this place, this
Pelk's
Curiosities, yeah. And Jaz'Zara's gonna walk back out onto the porch where Mila is really just still sitting there, just having a good time. Like, she's just sitting there, just looking around. Yeah, and
leave the baby alone.
Jaz'Zara walks back out to her. She says, "Mila," and Mila's like, "Oh, are you done?" And Jaz'Zara's like, "Almost. Do you know of a shop called Pelk's Curiosities?" She says, "Oh, well, yeah, that's in town. They're not quite open at the moment. Ever since they got vandalized a couple months ago. They
vandalized?
Yeah.
Who?
Actually, well, we're not really sure who, but I mean, it's honestly, it was probably about the time that Ergon came back. Too long after that, but we all just kind of assumed that the people who vandalized it were, the ruffians from Shady Creek Run. They're always here, so, and they're always looking for something special, especially from Aor. Jaz'Zara's...
Tell me more about this Shady Creek Run.
Oh, you don't want to go there. Shady Creek Run is a really, really awful place. It's full of, a lot of lawless people, and they send a lot of their, it's literally run by crime families. There's, several crime families that run the whole thing, and they send their people off to, go to places like Aor to look for, magical items that they can sell on the black market. It's a well, I guess if you're looking for something a little, and she very quietly, she kind of looks around, and then, she very quietly says, if you're looking for something a little on the less legal side of things, you could definitely find it there. But they send a lot of their bandits and stuff up here, and to raid places and stuff like that. And honestly, they attacked the store after Ergon got back. Maybe he gave some of it to the store, or at least maybe they thought he did, and they were looking for stuff. So Pelk's has some really weird things in it and some kind of creepy things, but sometimes they have things that are really good and really valuable, and Ergon's definitely sold their stuff before. So,
my dear Mila, can you please get us into Pelk's Curiosities?
Oh, and she looks at the time, and she's like, sure. If it's open, I'm not allowed to break into places if they're not open. That's against the law. But I bet Elro could let you in anywhere. He has keys to everything. So
we will take this up with Elro. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. Did you guys need more time here?
I think we're good here. Do you have any idea if Elro's done with the dispute he was
we can go check. He said he would meet us at the Jolly Dwarf when he was done, so we can go back there and check if you'd like. It's been a couple hours at this point, because it did take you guys quite some time to look through some stuff. So we can go check, and hopefully he's done. You'd like to think an eel wouldn't really cause that much of an issue, but who knows with Pale Bank? And she just says it like it's just such, it's just a common thing. And would you guys like to head back into the city to look for Elro?
Yes, and I am Valkaria is going to speak to Jazz in Underdark, going in Undercommon. Damn it, sorry. This Shady Creek Run sounds like a place for one of your shindigs or one of your shenanigans.
And Jaz'Zara, who since the mention of Shady Creek Run has been smiling, and she's just like, I I think if we have any need for money in the future, I know where to go.
I was thinking we can just go there, get our money now while you run them dry, and get information.
And Jaz'Zara's gonna look at Mila, and she says, "How far is this Shady Creek run from us?" And Mila thinks for a second. She's like, "Well, I've never been there, but it's a little south." And she says, "It's probably about 2 weeks from here."
Oh,
Yeah, it's a little on the far side. You got to go kind of south. You got to get out of the tundra first, and then you got to pass through the forest, and then it's between two mountain peaks, so it's a little far, but it's probably about 2 weeks, 3 if you get lost. And she does say, if you do go to Pelks, I hope you find Varla. I mean, she's been acting kind of weird lately, especially ever since the break-in. I think that might have rattled her with the people from like, the bandits and everything like that. So I hope if you get to go, like, you can check on her and make sure she's okay. She's a really nice person, if a little strange.
We will definitely check on her and see if she needs anything.
Sure. And so one of you, just one, can roll me a straight d20, and I'm going to say before you roll it, a 10 through 20, Elro is there at the bar waiting for you, and a 1 through a 9, he's not there yet.
12.
12.
We got the bar.
All right, Elro is there. You walk into the Jolly Dwarf, and Elro is sitting at the bar, like, nursing a warm cup of something, and he turns and he looks at you both, and he says, how was the investigation? Did you get to go to the cabin?
We did, yes. Thank you so much for sending Mila to us. Very
of course.
Informative.
She's a good girl. She knows this place like the back of her hand.
I'm sure she does.
And Mila is very happy at that, and like she sits at the bar, and she just kind of like waits happily, and she's just like for her next like orders of what to do. And Elro asks, he's like, did you find anything?
I think we did. If it's not too much of an inconvenience, Elro, we would like to visit Pelk's Curiosities after we visit Tolgi and see how she's doing.
Oh, that's quite interesting. Might I ask why?
We found a receipt of items that were sold to Pelk's Curiosities and for a high number of gold. And we just want to see if we can track down the items, see if there's any connection to what might have caused your friend's demise.
And he gets a very serious look on his face at that point, and he's like, well, that does make sense. Ergon sold many of the things that he brought back from Aor, and if anybody was going to have such things, I suppose it might have been Verla. Would you like to go to Pelk's Curiosities first, or would you like to go to meet Telgi first?
I would say we'd like to go see Tolgi first. Let's not keep the poor woman waiting in whatever state of freezing she's in.
Like to help her if we can.
Then off to the cabin we go, then. Are you ladies ready?
Ready.
As we'll ever be.
And as you gather like all your stuff and everything, and you get ready to like head out to this cabin after having found a bunch of different clues that lead you in a couple different directions at this point. So you guys make your way towards Telgi's cabin with Elro in the lead. Mila follows along. And as you guys are walking, he says that I've known Telgi for a little while. She's one of our newer residents here. She doesn't socialize very often, so I am not super surprised that she doesn't really want to talk, but I am worried that perhaps she's come down with the same illness that took my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he leads you up to this cabin. It looks very much like the other cabin did, like the Urgon's cabin. It's one story, in a little better shape than Urgon's cabin is, a little less disused looking, and Urgon's gonna go up, or Elro's gonna go up to the door and knock. As he goes up and he knocks on the door, and like he he does a polite knock. There's no answer. He waits, and he does a loud knock, and you hear a faint voice from the inside yelling, "Go away!" And Elro just he politely says, and he's just like, "Telgi, you need to come out. We're worried about you." But he stands there at the door, and he's like, "Telgi, you need to come out. We need to check on you." She yells at him. She's like, "Go away!" Do any of you want to try anything? Or you just listen to them yell at each other.
I would like to offer my services. Tulgi, you don't know me, but I am Asha Kel, and I'm a healer. I'd like to help you if I can.
And there's a pause, and she says, "If I don't know you, then why would I let you in my house?"
Fair question. Just trying to help. And I think
we stumbled upon your village, Miss Tolgi. We're just trying to help. We're here on Elro's behalf. We've offered to help any way we can. We already healed Barhop's leg. We're investigating what caused the demise of Aragon. So we heard that you're inflicted with the same problem, and we would really like to have one less death in this village.
Roll me a persuasion check with advantage.
24.
24. Jesus Christ. Okay. There's
she
a
puts
moment
on all the charm.
She's over there just like charming that door. So she there's a long pause for a moment, and then you hear like a lock turn on the other side of the door, and it doesn't open, but you hear footsteps like walking away from it, and Elro kind of looks at you, and Elro kind of looks at you all. Elro gestures for you guys to go ahead and go through the door first. So he doesn't. He's not going to open the door, but then again, you do get the impression that this is a very old man, and if something is wrong, like you don't want him to like be the first through the door. So yeah. So Jaz'Zara will offer to go first if you don't want to.
I'll go first. I'll as the healer. As the healer.
Okay. And so you open the door, and the heat of this small cabin, like it hits you like really strong. This is the hottest room you think you've ever been in. It is. Her fireplace is just huge, like the fire in it, there's so much wood in it. She's got candles everywhere. There's blankets thrown everywhere. It's ridiculous. And there's also like dirty dishes in some places, tools and like utensils are thrown everywhere and stuff like that. There's soup cooking at the same time. Like this is an extremely hot room, and it's just like it's very uncomfortable to stand in it.
And I say in undercommon, I think the sauna at Kel Tower is not so hot as this.
Feeling swampy yet?
Something.
And Jaz'Zara, who she stands in the doorway, and she's like, oh, and as this weird combination as you stand in near the door of heat coming in from like the front and like the chill of the back, and it's just like this really weird like dual heat and cold system. And Telgi is sitting there. She's like a gruff, probably in what you would estimate to be like a human mid-30s at this point, and she's sitting there in her chair. Just so many blankets are thrown like over and around her, and she is just so bundled up. And you can't see this, but for the love of God, I have a dice fiend who is laying on literally all of my dice at this moment. And are you having fun? Are you having fun? Okay, he's having fun. And she looks at you like there's a blanket like thrown around her head, and like it's just so hot in here, and you can't fathom having that many blankets on you and in this hot room. It's ridiculous. It's like so hot.
Mm-hmm. While Asha goes towards Telgi and like starts the conversation and tries to figure shit out, I kind of make my way towards where all the dirty dishes are. I just use my mage hand to like kind of slowly clean them.
Okay. Telgi, like is dividing her attention between both of you because you're both the two people that have walked into her house at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you make me a perception check, please.
7.
21.
Asha, as you're walking towards her, you see a tail sticking out from underneath her bed.
Alrighty.
It is a large tail sticking out from underneath her bed. And I have officially lost a D8 to Bucky, who has claimed it as his own. And to be fair, he rolled a 5. So good for you, baby.
Good boy.
Good for you. And thank you. You're on my notes, though. Like, I'm just gonna scoot that just a little. Okay, you're fine. Thank you for allowed. Really, he just smashed all of my d20s. Okay, he rolled a 6. He rolled a 6. He actually rolled a dice and he rolled a 6. So, but Telgi's sitting there and she's staring at you, and she's especially staring at Valkaria, who like is walking around her space, and as she sees you like start to clean things and stuff like that, she kind of like focuses back on Asha, and she says, "I do not have much, but I would give you everything I own and more if you could cure me."
I do plan to try. So
and
should I do a medicine?
You can do a well, you don't see anything wrong with her at this physical point, but then again, you can only see about the stretch of the space around her eye.
And a tail.
And a tail under the bed, which is not where she is. So
right.
You don't think that she has a tail for the record, but something is under there with a tail, a large tail. And Jaz'Zara will ask, and she says, "What exactly is it that's wrong with you?" And Telgi like kind of shifts a little to look at her without leaving her cocoon of
blankets.
Throw them on the floor now. Thank you, Bucky. I have so much help. I don't know what dice he threw on the floor, but he threw one of them on the floor.
We'll find out soon.
And Telgi like throws her blankets back in like one fell swoop, and you can see her legs are frozen blocks of ice.
Oh, jeez.
And the reason that her footsteps sounded weird when she was walking from the door and back is they were clomping because she can't, like, her feet are frozen from like the knee down is frozen. She can still bend her legs, but you think if it keeps going up that she won't be able to do that for much longer. And Asha, what would you like to try to do? You can make a medicine check if you'd like to try and get an idea. Valkaria, you can make an Arcana check if you'd like to try and get a sense of the magic of this.
Now I have another question. Do any of us have the ability to kind of sense what creature is under the blankets?
You can give me I'm gonna say a nature check to try and
I got 19 for the Arcana.
I got 21 for medicine.
Okay.
And 14 for nature.
The tail looks big and a little canine, but it's not any kind of dog tail you've ever seen. That's for sure.
Okay.
For the Arcana, as both of you come together to like inspect Telgi's legs and everything, and Val, you're trying to like figure out what kind of magic this is. You can tell by sensing this magic, this is powerful magic, but it's not like any kind of magic you've ever sensed before. Your magic is innate and like it comes from like this shadowy place. Your father's magic is similar, less shadowy, but like it comes from a different but similar magical source. You've sensed Asha's magic, where it comes from like the moon, and it's this bright like holy magic, and even Jaz'Zara's magic, which is very like earthy, and gives you like this sense of kind of like the caves of the Underdark and stuff like that. You've never sensed magic like this, but the sense you do get of it is that it's very old and very powerful magic. This is a different level of magic and a different type of magic than you've ever really experienced. The closest you could say that you come to it is probably like the Telena's like Secret Service magic people. Like that sense of magic that they tend to give off kind of like relates to that, or some of like the weird arcane shit that the crystal catchers get up to when they're really making something strange. You've sent some of their like wild magic, like arcane explosions and things like that. Like it gives off a little bit of those vibes too. Not quite either, but similar. It's wild ancient magic of like crystal catchers, but deep magic and strong in the way that the Telena family, there's like secret magical police do. Okay. So it gives you a very odd sense of something surprisingly powerful. Asha, as you look at it, you in her legs, and do you want to cast a healing spell?
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna cast? What do you want to cast?
Well, the one that I used in the. Let's start with the one I used in the bar.
The healing word.
Yeah, healing word. We'll start there then.
So go ahead and roll me the D4.
7.
A 7. Okay. You put your hands like over the ice and everything. You're careful not to touch it because it is magical illness.
It
like
seems to be contagious. Of a sort.
And of some sorts. And you push your healing magic into her, and you glow. Your hands glow with the bright, like blue light of the Moonweaver, and the magic pushes into her. And as the light disappears, her legs stay just as frozen as they were before.
Undeterred, I'd like to try another one if
sure.
I have enough. Let's see, which one do I have? Let's see. Remind me what Spare the Dying does again. Like, would that be appropriate in this situation?
Spare the Dying is when a creature's at 0 hit points, you stop them from making saving throws.
Okay. Let's see. There's a lot of ones that I know I didn't select. So, or can I trade them out for the day, or?
I will say, because you haven't been trading out your spells, if you would like to try and switch them out for something else, I will let you do that. I will let you switch one spell out.
Okay. I guess we will try Cure Wounds for right now.
Okay. So you can go ahead and roll me the dice for that one.
That also D4?
I believe that is a D6.
Oh wait, where is it? Oh, here. Okay. D6 plus 3. 8.
8. You push the healing magic into her. You concentrate. You pull like this deeper, stronger well of magic to you. It takes you a moment to really concentrate on it. And as you push the magic into her to try and heal it, the magic is pushed into the ice, and like there's a bit of color that comes back to her face a little bit, just from like the pure, powerful healing magic that's being entered into her. But overall, her condition does not change.
I don't want to give up, but I think I need another spell.
We need to figure out what's causing this.
Yes.
So we can pool our magic.
Jaz'Zara kind of steps into the cabin at that point, and she says, "So you are not the first person to have this illness. How did you get it? He's supposed to have gotten it by traveling to Aor. Did you also go to Aor?" And Telgi she looks very disappointed at the fact that the healing magic hasn't worked, but she doesn't particularly look surprised either. And she kind of looks at Asha and she says, "Well, it was worth a shot. Nothing else I've done has worked, so why the fuck should I think anything else is going to?" And she throws like the blankets back over herself. And she says, "No, I didn't go to Aor." She says, "Obviously, I didn't go to Aor myself. What am I supposed to do? Go out in the wilds by myself? That would be ridiculous." And Elro speaks up, and he says, "Well, Ergon did it quite often, actually." And she gives him like this dirty look and everything, and he doesn't seem perturbed by that. And but he says, "No." She's like, I'm not even from this stupid village and your stupid ways. And he's still not perturbed by that. And she says, "Obviously, I stole some of his shit, and whatever was on his magical Aoring bullshit infected me too." And
Togi, do you still have any of the items that you stole or pilfered?
Well, technically I was supposed to give all of it to my sister, Hulil, and to send back to Shady Creek Run. And Elro kind of straightens at that, and he's like, "Are you from Shady Creek Run?" And she says, "Obviously, I'm from Shady Creek Run. You think that all of the shit that was stolen recently just did it on its own? You didn't think it was weird that, like, I came into town at the same fucking time?" And he just kind of, like, gets more and more solemn while he's looking at her. And he says, "We welcomed you to our home, and this is what you do?" And she says, "Fucking, could you not scratch at the mic? Thank you, though. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you." And Tolgi just kind of looks at him, and she says, "Look, I'm not paid to care. The Udalot family I work for is also not paid to care, and they're certainly never inclined to it. So I don't really know what you want from me, old man." And Jaz'Zara steps up.
So cute.
Yeah, Jaz'Zara steps up next to him at that point, because, like, Tolgi, despite half being frozen, is starting to get a little hostile. And so she steps up next to him at that point, and Tolgi looks at them, and she says, "Look, when Ergon came back to the village, I saw it with all of these, like, great Aor finds that he was, like, boasting about. I thought it would be an easy way to get something to send back to the family, and it seemed simple and a fast way to earn something that would maybe earn us a little credit among the family, and I didn't really think anything bad would come of it. Like, people find things in Aor all the time, and nothing weird or fucking frozen happens to them." And, I didn't think it would be such a big deal. So when I stole it from Pelks, I just didn't think it was a big deal. And Elro kind of, like, leans backwards a little bit like that. It's like, "You were the one who broke into the store." And she said, "Obviously I was the one who broke into the store, old man." And Jaz'Zara steps up to her, and she says, "Do you have anything left? And what did you do with the rest of it that you stole?" And she's kind of quiet for a minute, and, like, as she's been getting louder too, I will say, Asha, since you're the one who noticed the tail has gone underneath the bed fully at this point.
Mom's having a cow, I gotta hide.
And like, you hear, like, slight shuffling, like whatever's underneath her is moving. And give me a perception check, Asha.
Got a 16.
That's a loud noise for something shuffling underneath there.
Mm-hmm.
It's whatever it is, it's definitely not some kind of house cat.
No.
And Valkaria, give me a perception check, please.
Alright.
And then I want you to give me an insight check after that. Both of you can give me an insight check, actually. I'm gonna roll
Natural D20 for the perception.
Woo!
I got 23 for insight.
Okay.
16 for insight.
Alright, and for insight, Jaz'Zara got a 21. Val, you see her when she's asked about whether or not she still has anything. You see her glance to the side, and when you look to the side, you see there is a very lovely and ornate dagger slightly sticking out of one of her blankets. And you know that on the list of things that was sold to Pelk's Curiosities from Ergon was a dagger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so you can put mostly 2 and 2 together and figure out that's probably one of the things that she stole.
As she's hesitating, I'm just going to pick up that.
Not with your bare hands.
No. I'm going to pick it up with my mage hand.
Okay. And you cast Mage Hand, and you go over, and give me a, you know what, I'm going to have you roll initiative to see if you're going to be faster. It's just going to be you and her. She will also roll initiative, and whoever goes first is going to have the better chance of getting the dagger.
It's just a D20, right?
It's a D20 plus your initiative,
which is 1.
Yeah. She has a +3 to her initiative.
14.
She got a 10. So you beat her. So you use Mage Hand, you reach over, you pull the dagger out, and now in your hand is this ornate-looking in your Mage Hand is this ornate-looking dagger. Oh, you're going to steal from the thief. Isn't that lovely?
I wouldn't call it stealing, as more
recovering stolen property.
You said you didn't have anything, and I am uncovering a lie, so...
I kept the dagger. It was a nice dagger. It seemed useful. The rest of it, on the other hand, I gave all of that to Hulu. And she should still have all of it. I didn't give it to her that long ago. But I everything I took came from Pelk's curiosities, and I took maybe half a dozen things. That was the only one I kept for myself.
So commendable.
Telgi, I'm sure you're not going to appreciate what I'm going to ask you next, but...
Oh, do tell.
Could you please, in as honestly as you can, write down a list of everything you took? If we can figure out what came back from the ruins of Aeor and where they went, maybe we can figure out how to stop this thing that's attacking you.
Well, first of all, is your sister sick?
Yeah,
I haven't been able to get a hold of her in a little while.
How long is a little while?
Maybe a week after I gave her the items.
Elro, how long did it take for Aragon to pass after his affliction?
About a month.
And your sister hasn't been heard from in a week.
And she looks at you and she says, I've had this for the better part of 2 weeks now. I gave it to her about a week ago, and I haven't heard from her since.
And how long have you been afflicted?
About 2 weeks.
As soon as you got them. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like whatever is affected went with her sister.
Yeah.
And she says, do you want a list or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Then give me some fucking paper.
I reach into my bag, hand her parchment, pen. Let's start writing.
On the list, she writes the dagger that you already know. She writes the scroll case, which was also on the list of the receipt. She writes the jade statue and the blue glass vials. And in addition to that, she writes like a wooden dragon statue, golden button, and wooden tap shoes.
Wooden tap shoes. Clearly, definitely the problem.
Oh yeah, definitely the culprit.
Look, one of the people from the Udalot family, they collect weird things like that. I thought maybe it would get me in good with them. And like she looks like she's kind of embarrassed by the fact that she took some really weird shit.
Thank you, Toby. Telgi, sorry.
Yeah, she looks at you and she says, "If my sister has it too, I took it directly from the store to here, and before I gave it to her." And Jaz'Zara looks over. She says, "And where exactly is your sister now?" And Huli doesn't look like she wants to say the answer to that, so I'm gonna roll.
Telgi?
Yeah, Telgi doesn't look like she wants to answer that, so I'm gonna roll a persuasion check for Jaz'Zara. Who's persuasion? Oh, it's real not good. She has a -2 to that. she got a 7. And so Tolki just kind of like keeps her mouth shut at that. And Jaz'Zara's gonna step forward. She says, "If you want us to help her, you have to tell us where she is." And Tolgi looks at her and says, "I don't have to tell you shit, lady." Anything you guys would like to do or say?
Is there a way that I can just bring whatever the fuck animals underneath that bed out into the open?
Sure. How would you like to do that?
I mean, I don't want to pull it, and I don't think Mage Hand would be able to lift it. but...
Well, it's under a bed, and you can't see it at the moment, but if you would like to tell me how you either get in there or open it, you're more than welcome to tell me how you get this creature out.
And while
I have an idea. So while Jazz and Telgi are having a face-off, Val finds some animal treats and just starts shaking whatever bag it's in to get it out.
Okay, where are you finding animal treats? And
in the kitchen. I've been cleaning the dishes.
All right, I won't say you find specifically animal treats, but I can say you can find some kind of meat of some sort.
There you go. I found some jerky, and I'm just...
Give me an animal handling check.
16.
Okay, so you're crouched by the bed while like Jaz'Zara and Tolgi are having like this stare off, and you like kind of like holding some of the meat underneath it, or trying to get something to come out. And as you do, this gigantic fucking wolf head pops its way out of there and chomps down on the meat. And as it does so, a second giant-ass wolf head pops out from underneath there and chomps on the same piece of meat, and now they are in a tug-of-war over this single piece of meat. And I will say, these giant winter wolves, their teeth came very close to your fingers. They are about 3 times the size of a normal wolf.
How the fuck do they fit under that bed?
Big bed.
It's a big bed.
Okay.
And they just kind of like tug back and forth, and Tolgi notices them, and she like clicks her tongue at them, and they scoot themselves back underneath the bed. So, and she's like, "See, if you were rude and didn't knock on the door, we would have had some fun." And go ahead.
Telgi, are these... I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that these were not acquired legally.
And she kind of like smirks at you a little bit, and she says, "Only things that aren't any fun are acquired legally."
I will let you have that. That is true.
And she looks at you and she says, "Also leave my dogs alone, or you'll be the next thing they get to eat." And Jaz'Zara takes several steps forward at that, and she says, "You've been uncooperative, unhelpful, and overall just a pain in my ass." And she says, "We're trying to help you. You can either help us help you, or you can sit here and freeze to death and die, and you will be their next snack. Are you going to help us or not?" And I will give her a persuasion check, this time with advantage, because that was mildly threatening. Wow, it's not good. It's a 9. It's a whole 9. And Tolgi flips her off. She's just like, "Fuck off." Would either of you like to try anything?
I'm gonna try a little distraction.
Okay, what would you like to distract from? And
basically from the contentious situation happening over there, by asking a seemingly random question.
Okay.
Telgi, was anything in that scroll case, or was it just empty?
She tilts her head at that for a second, and I'll have her roll a history check to see if she remembers.
Good question.
She says, "I remember grabbing it. And I don't remember scrolls, but I don't recall opening it either. It had this gold filigree around the side, so it looked valuable. I don't recall there being anything in it, but I don't believe I opened it either." And she looks at it and she thinks, and for a moment, and I'll have her roll she says, "I don't recall much of just the dagger was the only thing that I found personally valuable." She says the scroll case just looked like it could be worth some money. The vials, whatever liquid was in them, looked like they could sell them for something, and it was just monetary, what I was looking for.
Humor me, Telgi. But
and she puts both of her hands underneath her chin and gives you a very condescending look of I'm humoring you.
When you grabbed the glass vials? Did any kind of liquid pour out, touch you, anything?
And she sits and she thinks about it for a moment. She says, I don't know. She rolled a natural 1 on that history check, so she doesn't know
Shit.
the fucking day of the week.
She's very cold.
She's like, I grabbed as much things as I could, as quickly as I could, and I threw them all in the bag. What happened to them after that? Besides the dagger, which I put in my pocket, I didn't really pay attention to the rest of it.
Did the dagger cut you anywhere?
No.
Do you still have the bag you shoved everything in?
No, I gave that to my sister with everything in it. I when I brought it home, I went through everything, but I put it all back in the bag, and I gave Hulil everything.
Okay. I, unfortunately, think that's all we're gonna get out of here.
So you're gonna get out of here?
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, you're not helping us much. You want the help, you don't want the help.
Sure, your sister will really appreciate being dead, so I think we'll just
and she's like, oh, you
make
can
our
fuck
merry
right
way
off.
out.
She's like, you can fuck right off, and that's when the winter wolves get out from underneath the bed, and they are very large, and they are not happy with you, and they do start to growl at you. And
bye.
You leave,
and I take my leave.
Val, you leaving?
Yeah. As I'm leaving, I mage hand another piece of meat towards the wolves and shut the door behind me.
Okay.
Well, Jazz has to get out.
Well,
too.
Jazz too. After Jazz.
Yeah, Elro will go out as soon as Asha goes out, and then Val goes out, and Jaz'Zara makes sure she's the last one out, and she backs her way out of the room, and you use Mage Hand to like throw the meat and close the door right after that. And now you're on her porch.
Fuck that bitch.
Excuse our language, Elro, but yes, fuck that bitch.
And he says, well, I had higher hopes for her when she came to our village. It is unfortunate to see that she is one of the people who deal with Shady Creek Run and the bandits that hang out here. And he kind of looks very sad and a little disappointed and everything. And but kind of like perks himself up, pulls himself together, and he's like, "What is your next step, ladies?"
Well, Elro, we would still like to peruse Pelk's curiosities, just to see if we can find anything. After that, I think we're going to need to make a run to Shady River Run. Shady Creek Run.
She almost said Shady Pines. Is what
I did.
She almost said.
and he says, I don't recommend going to Shady Creek Run, but at the very least I can help you with Pelks. And he says, I do have the spare key if there's no answer, but Miss Pelk hasn't been interested in opening the shop since things were stolen from it a few weeks ago. So,
we understand. Any help would be appreciated, and any kind of guide. I know you're making a map or having a map made for us, which is, again, very appreciated, but any kind of guide that would give us like a lay of the land on how to get to Shady Creek Run without getting into much trouble would also be appreciated.
He looks at the three of you and he says, I have a feeling trouble is going to follow you no matter what.
You're not wrong there, sir.
Or perhaps it is you that is the trouble. And he laughs at you and he good naturedly nudges you in the side. And at that he turns and he says, well, to Pelks. And he very slowly but very confidently walks down the stairs of the cabin and makes his way back towards the town with Mila in tow, who is, through the whole thing, like, she got a little serious when everything was going on at the cabin. She stayed mostly in the doorway, but she very happily follows Elro, and the three of you take off towards town, and with far more information than you started with, a decent amount of prospects ahead of you in both trying to solve a very disturbing but interesting mystery, and possibly some leads on where to find both some help and some trouble. Mm-hmm. And with that, we will end our session.
This is getting good.
Good.
Getting real good.
Cheers to our DM.
Yay! Yay!
I have been taking so many notes about this session, like just names, places, like details.
It's those details that'll get you.
I love it.
Good, I'm glad. Did you guys have any questions about anything? Whether it's anything we've done or anything like that? Anything you need me to spell too? Because I said a lot of words today.
Yeah, the Isolor?
Isolcross?
Isolcross, sorry. I don't know what Isolor. Brain, it's probably a House of the Dragon thing that my brain is trying to pull. Yeah, Isolcross, please.
Sure. So that's spelled EISELZROSS.
You know, I actually would have been right if I had just sounded it out.
I put it as ISY.
Oh, that's good too.
Dwarf that died. Alright, do we have a name for the creature that was sleeping on me?
No, you do not have that yet.
Okay.
Because it sounded like a goose.
You know what I was picturing?
Uh,
I was picturing one of those lizards that have like their
a frill lizard. Yeah.
Those that have like the little thing come out from the sides and have like the satellite head.
Oh, okay.
But poultry.
Poultry?
Like a chicken.
Okay.
That like has that thing come out of its head and just kind of with its wings and everything.
Oh, I might have to incorporate that at some point. That's I might have to make a new creature. That sounds terrible. Oh my god. Okay. I now wish that's what it was. It is not a poultry dinosaur chicken, but like I kind of wish it was.
Mm-hmm. That's from the way he described it. I'm just picturing like this the satellite thing like puffing up whenever it gets like while it's hissing, and like its wings are just flapping like a chicken.
Oh, I just pictured a demon goose.
That works too.
With teeth.
That's fair. Anything else you guys have questions with? Spellings? Anything about your spells or anything like that?
Nope.
No, I just wanted to let you know I really enjoyed this. I'm a little tired, so maybe I'm not emoting, but I really enjoyed this, and I loved the story crafting that went on here.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm good. I'm glad. It's weirdly enough, because like this is coming from something that was like partially pre-crafted and stuff like that. Like the very base outlines of it was pre-crafted. Right. So like oddly enough, it's the only part that worries me about anything in the campaign. Everything else that I've created myself, I'm like, I got that. It's just like this part of like this very base part for Pale Bank was throwing me off, and I'm just like, okay, because I have 23 pages for this. So
for Pale Bank?
Yeah.
Or for the whole thing?
For everything that's happening connected to what's going on in Pale Bank.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So I was more worried about making sure I connected all the dots and getting everybody's names correct and all that. So but yeah, so you guys have done really well. There wasn't really or any fighting in this one, but I thought it would give you guys an interesting opportunity to try and use your spells in a different way.
Be investigators.
Yeah, and like do something different, like do some investigating, do some, really use the different D&D skills and just see the different things that you can do and different ways to use your spells. So
I really like how this story is progressing.
Good. I'm glad.
Like every time we sit down, I have no idea where it's gonna go. Like I have absolutely no idea. It's literally starting a book, and I have there is nothing in the back, nothing on the inside flap. There's nothing.
Which is really fun for me as the person who knows all of the things that are at least the very general things that are going to happen. There's a lot of like the details and everything that you guys make up, and a lot of things that are made up on the fly too. Like that creature sitting on top of Valkaria was not planned, but it sounded really funny. So
it also sounded like something that she'd be really sad that she didn't wake up for, and then she didn't wake up for.
I'm sorry.
So much trying, like rolling so low, like 2 natural ones. Holy shit.
Now, do any of us, I mean, it's me being me, do any of us have an affinity for animals? Because as you can tell, I've been trying to like make friends with the chicken lizard and the winter wolves.
For the animal handling, Asha has a +3, and so does Jaz'Zara, and you have a +0.
I have a +1, a +0. Okay,
so
I'm not the one who should be touching the animals, even though I am.
Well,
no,
she
it
loves
definitely.
them, but she's she's a little too exuberant. That's all.
Yeah, they're interesting creatures. None of you are like super adept at it, but Asha and Jaz'Zara are tied. It probably should be Jaz'Zara just because of her very nature-based abilities and stuff like that. But she's more worried about keeping y'all alive than she is about the animals. So,
and you have the air of the Syndicate, just going, "I'ma touch it."
Yeah,
I'm gonna reach under the bed and get me a doggy.
Yeah, Jaz'Zara very much feels like as she looks at Val, is just like it's going to be a struggle to keep you from accidentally killing yourself on something ridiculous. So
you know it.
Oh yeah, but that's the fun part too. I also like Jaz'Zara and Valkaria's like just general banter, like back and forth. Like Jazara's willingness to put like Valkaria like on a street corner somewhere, but at the same time, like Val having no issues just throwing her under any bus. It's just like, but at the same time, like you can really like you can obviously tell too, like as soon as something happens, like Jaz'Zara is fully willing to stand between you and anything else. So.
Oh yeah, you are the warrior,
and just like and, and at the very core of it, you guys are friends and her most important people. So she's gonna very willingly stand between you and any danger that comes along. She's just gonna give you a lot of shit about it in the meantime.
It really is the three of us just.
It really it's us, but with like magic and weapons.
With magic, yeah.
So
Sounds
but
good to me.
I'm really curious to see how Asha takes a second moon being in existence. So
yeah, she's dealing with that right now.
Yeah. So
she's kind of caught in the. I can't wait to tell my family. Oh.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Also going. Why can't I heal this thing?
That too. That's very frustrating for her.
It's interesting too because like that's one of the things and one of the reasons I like you guys like really like thinking about the spells that you pick and stuff like that is some of your spells just have limitations and some spells do things that other ones don't. And specifically for Asha as a cleric, every day when you wake up in the morning you get to pick new spells and like if you try out different stuff and stuff like that, maybe you'll find things that fit with different situations better. It's really good for like planning, like if you know that one day you're gonna go like do something stealthy that day, you may take more spells that help with stealth and stuff like that, or if you're gonna go into combat you pick more healing spells. Why
I don't know why she's pretending that she's in that horrible movie Smile. I don't know why she's doing.
Does this mean that we're now level 3 and I get my puppy?
No, and you don't get your dog to level 6. For one thing, you didn't do.
3.
No, it's level 6. It is 100% level 6. And also you didn't do any fighting today, so you didn't earn any experience points today. So you're not leveled up yet. So next session we will pick back up with investigating Pelk's curiosities and seeing what you guys figure out from there. So I think everything's good. You guys just let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. And so it seems to be moving on in at least an interesting direction. So the thing is I know all of the things that are going to happen like over like the entire campaign, and I so much just want you guys to get to like certain points, but you have to go through the journey to get there, and it's just like, oh, I want you to go here already, or I want you to do this already.
I know, because we have to do the thing to understand the thing to do the thing that
and not to get totally squished and outclassed because you're only like levels 2 and all that. So it's just like you gotta go through the stages. But I so much like there's one thing I'm gonna have you guys do like in several episodes from now. But like I spend a weird amount of time just like pulling little things to add to it, and I'm just like, you guys are gonna really like it because it's gonna be a lot of fun. So, and
got it.
I have a little running list of things I'm going to troll you guys with at the same time. So,
okay,
so that should be fun.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. I will talk to y'all later. And until next time, thank you guys for listening to our second session of the Nameless City campaign.
We hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. And yes, that I am actually making snoring noises as Valkaria.
Yes, it's very accurate to her other chainsaw snoring noises that she's made in the past. So,
not both so been witness to this.
Distant past, yeah.
Bye.
Hey y'all, just a little note at the end, as always. We are not affiliated with Wizards of the Coast, Critical Role, or any of their affiliated people. The Nameless City is our own creation, but we are setting this in the world of Matthew Mercer, with the same abilities that all D&D campaigns do. The music is from Tabletop Audio, or is from a serendipitous setting, which is my own creation. So you can find the music at either Tabletop Audio or on YouTube at the Sounds of or Serendipitous setting. So beyond that, yeah, I think that covers everything. Thanks, guys.
Tune in next week for more fuckery because we have some serious questions and concerns. Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Please hurry back so she doesn't sit here and do that.